Good afternoon and welcome to the Wilton Bowling Club here in Wellington. Absolutely perfect conditions here for the quarterfinals of the Bowls New Zealand Intercentre. Men and women, the men playing here at Wilton and the women at Silverstream. And this afternoon we'll be featuring the singles match between Ross Ellery of the Manawatu up against Scott McKenzie from the Wairarapa. So just to let you know who's won their way through into the quarterfinals this afternoon, we've got Dunedin have won their way through. And of course they're playing at present, they're playing on the top green here, and Dunedin are up against Wellington, a big clash up there. Auckland are also out in front of us here, and they're playing Whanganui, and also up on the top green Southland playing Canterbury. In the women's at Silverstream, I can tell you that we've got Dunedin up against Northland, Canterbury up against North Harbour, Bay of Plenty versus Nelson, and Wellington versus South Canterbury. Now of course we won't be able to give you any of the updates from the women's because they're playing out at Silverstream, but we'll endeavour throughout the coverage of this quarter-final match to update you on the other quarter-finals which have been played here at the Wilton Bowling Club. So play got underway on Thursday with section play Thursday and Friday, and two further rounds this morning. 26 centres from around the country lined up, and now we're down to the quarter-finals, and tomorrow morning we'll be bringing you as well live action from the semi-finals and finals here at Wilton. With me here this afternoon I've got Peter Ballas, who needs no introduction, and as I say we'll be commentating on the game between Ross Ellery of Foxton Beach in the Manawatu versus Scott McKenzie of the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa. So good afternoon Peter, and perfect conditions here, a bit of a breeze down here on this bottom green at Wilton, but overall perfect conditions.
Certainly very nice for the bowlers today, Kevin, and we should see some fine matches here. These are the best of the best getting through over the previous 3 days, so we can look forward to some top class bowls not only this afternoon but also tomorrow. So we see the Wairarapa, who may have been a wee bit of a surprise making their way through to the semi-final, quarter-finals, but have certainly been thereabouts right through the 3 days of section play. And they've got also the distinction in the Wairarapa side in the fours. They've got a player in the combination, Gavin Hamlin, who in fact has only been playing bowls for 3 months, a golf professional out of the Wairarapa, and playing here this afternoon. Highlights, Peter, doesn't it, that it's certainly, obviously the guy's got a lot of talent. Certainly has, Kevin, and look, it'd be fair to say that Wairarapa wouldn't have been on too many pundits' lists of qualifying. I was able to watch them play a little bit yesterday, and they were certainly playing very well, and obviously have a big test this afternoon against Manawatu. But look, this game of bowls is very much about the here and now, and reputations count for little. It's just how close you get them out on the green that's going to determine those who get through to the semi-finals tomorrow. Absolutely, and of course Ross Ellery, the Manawatu singles player, a well-proven player, well-known around major events, been a top player for a number of years, and Manawatu right throughout this event, they've been to the forefront. They've been either leading their section or close to it right throughout the 6 rounds of section play. And of course we've seen now the Wairarapa, Scott McKenzie, he's opened up on this first end and got the jack. Now he's delivering the jack, and it's the first to 25. So ends don't count. First to 25 and no time limit. The marker of the quarter-final match, one of the Wilton members, Doug Crombie, and he's the man who will straighten the jack up, and it was a 3 on the opening end to Scott McKenzie. Good start by the Wairarapa player from the Carrington Club. What do you know? Do you know anything about Scott McKenzie, who I believe also plays bowls in Wellington as well, Peter, I believe, at Silverstream?
Look, I can't say I know too much about Scotty, other than in watching him play yesterday, he was playing extremely well at Johnsonville. So I'm looking forward to this encounter this afternoon. And as you mentioned, Ross Ellery's been around the traps for a number of years and very capable and experienced player. So playing 25 up, so it's mid-distance, I suppose. Cause
it is.
We used to play 31 up in some events, and then of course the vast majority of singles matches are 21 up. So this just gives you a little bit of time if things don't go well to start with to get back into the game.
So the green here at Wilton, the converted green back to natural surface, running at 16 seconds and looks to be in good condition, really, Pete, doesn't it? The bowls seem to be. So watch this bowl of Scott McKenzie's going to fall lower the jack, as did the Ross Ellery bowl. 3 short bowls to start off this second innings, so there's at least a couple of metres to draw the shot because they haven't played this way so far. And as Peter rightly said, Ross Ellery, very, very well performed player out of the Manawa 2 on the forehand. And the green certainly lends itself. If you get that bowl out on the arc, get it back to the centre line, which we've seen Ross Ellery do here, coming back towards the centre line, will finish just lower the jack. But it's the all important thing, isn't it, Peter? If you don't get back to the centre line, you're going to struggle, aren't you?
Well, that's for sure. It's the worst nightmare, and when you play that you can't find the centre of the rink, and there's there's hardly any breeze, but there's just enough to make it a little awkward for the players.
I noticed, though, compared to up on the top green, the wind factor is quite significantly less down here than what it is up on the top.
It is, and there's Scotty just turning his own bowl in for shot.
Still leaves plenty of room for Ross Ellery to draw down, beat his last bowl on the forehand, and that's exactly what Ellery will try and do. And as Peter rightly said, in the race to 25, you don't have to worry about the time limit or ends. It's just a matter of just hanging in there, and looks to be on the wide side, going to go out past the bowl of Scott McKenzie's, out on that wider side, coming right down towards the 2 metre mark. In fact, will it stay up? Yes, it does. So Scott McKenzie will stay on his backhand. Have you heard of a bowler before, Peter, playing representative bowls after 3 months?
No, I haven't. One of the advantages, I suppose, of being in one of the smaller centres in the country, that they don't have too many players to pick, and obviously showed natural ability right from the start, and has been given his opportunity, and certainly has taken that.
I think it's interesting, though, Peter, if you reference it back to golf, that hand-eye coordination, the swing, the natural, the arc of the bowl, the arc of your club. There's quite a few synergies, isn't there?
There is. And look, I'm hearing reports. There's a number
this could have made 2 or 3 of it. Ellery running into his front bowl, getting a slide in towards the jack, finishes under the closest bowl of Scott McKenzie's. And so there's definitely a couple. They've got the finger measure out to have a look, and Ross Ellery, he's calling for the measure. He'll measure out to his side bowl. You can see it out there into the shadows. He'll come around now, knowing that he needs to be careful. He's going to go to the top of the bowl. That bowl could well fall. So we'll see in a moment. There's definitely one. Ross Ellery has got the map. I favoured it for 2 on the way through, and just the one. So, Peter, sorry, I interrupted.
Yes, I'm hearing reports of a number of people that are either golf professionals or very good at golf have taken up our sport, and so I think there is a crossover.
Oh, there is. I go back to in the years gone by. Players like Jim Christie, Jeff Hawken, Morosiki were all single-figure golfers in their.
Keith Slight.
Keith Slight's another one, isn't he?
And we have a young Kaylin Huella from Jerry Hill was a scratch golfer. He's just in his early 20s, playing very well in Wanganui. I'd just like to think it was the other way around, Kevin, because I was hopeless at golf.
I know the feeling. So Ross Ellery has delivered the jack, and certainly playing a shorter length thanks to Howard Ivory and the the green staff here at Wilton. They've certainly made it the green very well chalked out, so we can see clearly that centre line as we see now the bowler Scott McKenzie just breaking down towards the jack now. It's going to sit just past the jack, but a pretty good opening bowl just goes by. So Peter, as a New Zealand selector in that as well, you'd be pleased that the bubble looks as though we're nearly there, and we can look forward to some New Zealand players coming back to play in the Ryder Cup event, as we'll call it, later on in the year.
Yes, the North-South scheduled for September, early September, in the indoor in Dunedin, and sides for that will be selected shortly, and of course the first international on the program, subject obviously to the travel restrictions being lifted, is a Trans-Tasman on the Gold Coast in November.
Well, I hope New Zealand have kept my tickets. I've had them credited about 3 times. So I just hope there's still the generosity of Air New Zealand still there. Another good second bowl here from Scott McKenzie. Just draws by the jack, just past the centre line. 2 very good bowls on the back end.
Yes, it looks like anything within a metre is pretty good today.
Well, if you're looking around the other heads as well, Peter, that looks pretty much the case. Of course, tomorrow we'll have both the men and women's semi-finals action here as well from 8:30 in the morning, and that will be on Sky Sport Next. And for those who aren't quite sure what to do, just go to the Bowls New Zealand website and click on the link. You'll just come straight through to this live coverage, and of course it's very fortunate to have Peter Ballas with us today in this commentary position. Another good bowl coming in here from Scott McKenzie. This is breaking down towards the jack's going to stay out on that backhand side. Jack level though. 3 down is a Ross Ellery. They're 3 very well drawn bowls from the Wairarapa lead.
Yes, and the way they're placed is there's nothing really to sit on. There's a 1 bowl target, drawing within probably 2/3 of a metre to get the shot.
Ellery just coming to get in, trying to get inside the bowl of McKenzie's. In fact, to get to the outside of it, falls out. I don't think that would have cut 1 out. Still a couple, you would say, though, to Scott McKenzie. And you're right, Peter, there's only really a 1 bowl sit there on that backhand, isn't there? And you could very easily just snip through, put a metre of weight on.
Yes, and look, he was close.
He was only half a bowl away.
Half a bowl out, and he sits it for shot. Just gets the outside edge of it and falls away 2, possibly 3 down, and Scott with a bowl to come.
So Scott McKenzie is out wider with this bowl. Just how far is it going to come back to the centre line? It's going to sit outside. The outside bowl won't come all the way in. No, it won't. Just sits in the short bowl. And we'll have a look in a moment. Doug Crombie, the marker, having a close look as well as they kick out the 1. See whether it's 2 or not. Out comes the measure again. 3 ends gone. The 3 ends we've had the measure out. Interesting to see here, Auckland, of course, playing your home province, playing Whanganui, and one G. Lawson skipping the Auckland Fours, but the furniture removal van must have moved north, did it?
Well, I think if you were in that business and you had G. Lawson as a client, you'd do very well, because obviously he played for Auckland a long time ago. He resided in Auckland. But, look, it just doesn't seem right in the Blues, to be fair.
He does tell me, though, that for you Canterbury viewers, he's told me that he will be cheering for the Auckland Blues tomorrow when they play the Crusaders at Eden Park. So he has to sort of, now he's in the blue and white. He's so interesting. We see now with Scott McKenzie winning that end. The jack's gone back to that length of the 2 metre mark. McKenzie, from the Carrington Club, the Wairarapa, in the shorts. It's 3. So a really great start here from the Wairarapa player. And of course, Peter, when you're playing this format, your singles player gets away to a good start, it helps the whole team, doesn't it? It sort of holds them up there, lifts them, motivates them, doesn't it?
It does. There was a period, and what a good opener there
toucher from Scott McKenzie.
We had a period a number of years ago when generally whoever had the best singles player ended up winning the Intercentre. Not quite the same these days, and I don't know the reasons why it happens to be that way.
Good response here from Ross Allery, drawing right down towards you can see the jacks have been moved off the centre line down towards the right under the number one, so it's very close down there, and it would be Allery who drew the shot. Well played from Ross Allery on that forehand. So Scott McKenzie in response now. And always very difficult, isn't it, Peter, when the jack's been moved off that centre line. Good attempt here from the Wairarapa players. Are going to stay up.
No, it's dropped in.
Just dropped in.
Well, the breeze has certainly just got up at the moment.
Yeah, see Ross Allery before he played his bowl here on the forehand, just walking back off the mat, playing away from us here in the commentary position, playing down towards I'd call it the Wellington City end. Very picturesque setting here at Wilton, and amongst a reserve park-like environment. Very, very tranquil setting here at the Wilton Bowling Club. So Ross Allery now trying to add to the count. That bowl did stay up. If I look on that, it's on the board on the back. Look at this from Allery, gets a toucher, and that'll go right towards in fact, he's going to move that bowl. That's very thankful. Now you can see
it was sitting on the bank. And it was on the green.
I thought it was sitting on the green, and thankfully Doug Crombie moved it, but. So he moved the jack on the trail and then trailed the jack into the ditch, and his toucher now sits right on the ditch board.
Oh, that was a great shot, and now it's just a question of Scotty just how much he can limit the damage. He's had a run here on the backhand just underneath the toucher, but of course the toucher does stay alive if it gets in the ditch. So Ross is very much in control of this end.
Well, it was more, from Scott McKenzie's point of view, Peter, is more than likely the best shot selection to play, because literally you have to draw within a foot to literally even get second shot because if this bowl here counts, you're going to sit on it. Well, if it stays up, is it going to stay up? No, it's not. Just rolls into the ditch. So both players up, having a look, with Scott McKenzie leading 6-1 over Ross Allery in the race to 25. And in the pairs, we've got Brian Little of the Manawatu and Dean Gilsham. They're up against Gary Carfull and John Cawthray of the Wairarapa. And in the fours, it's Pat Horgan, Mark Noble, Steve Toms and Jason Howe of the Manawatu, playing Gavin Hamlin, Bill Brokenberg, Peter Ireland and Gary Murawai. And we'll give you updates of those games throughout the afternoon, along with the other three quarterfinals. The Whanganui Auckland one out here in front of us, and the Dunedin game, Dunedin v Wellington, and Canterbury v Southland. He didn't like that as he let it go. He knew he was off target. So can Ross Allery make three of it? Definitely laying two shots.
It's a bit of a risky shot there, because he has a reasonable bowl as third shot, and if he got that, then he
could have very easily dropped
Ross
that.
Needs to get it on the green and go 14 metres, and it's three.
Yeah, he had anywhere to draw, didn't he, for another one.
So he's still got to play a pretty good one to make this one count. And certainly Wairarapa made a good start in the other matches. In the pair, they're 6-0 in front, and in the four, they're 4-2 in front. So an excellent start from Wairarapa.
So here is Ross Allery trying to add to the count, definitely holding two, just going to go under the front bowl, and won't count. So that'll be definitely a 2 to the Manawatu player. And we're now sitting at 6 shots to 3 in favour of Scott McKenzie from the Wairarapa. And Peter, you might be able to tell us here. I know that we've got Jamie Hill. He's out in front of us here. He's playing Bruce Winterburn. The Peers, the Mike Galloway skipped Auckland side. He's playing the Wanganui.
It's Ian Porteous and Gavin Scrivener and the Wanganui Pier.
And Gary Rawson in the fours up against Ray Park. So Ray Park, of course, very, very well-proven player.
It was finals weekend last weekend in Wanganui, and Ray Park and Diane Patterson actually defeated Ren Stratford and myself in the mixed pairs final, which gave Ray Park his 70th centre title.
That's incredible, isn't it? That.
And he also got another one later in the weekend, so he's now got 71. Yeah, so quite a remarkable record.
So good opening bowl from Ross Ellery. The jack's been delivered about a metre out from the 2 metre mark, and you'll see the first bowl of Ellery's just come right back to that centre line. And it's always, last weekend, Peter did the final of the Auckland Inter Club, and sitting there doing the commentary, it's always frustrating when you see players just not using the arc, the visualisation to get that bowl back to the centre line. It's just the key to the whole game, isn't it?
It certainly is.
So on the back end now, good reply from Scott McKenzie. He's drawn the shot. So here's now Ross Ellery on the back end, playing up towards us here in the commentary position, up towards the clubhouse end here at Wilton. Breaking back towards the centre line now, but it's got a metre of weight on it, and it'll sit literally right on the 2 metre mark. So Scott McKenzie, he'll stay on that backhand side. And of course he's playing right on the bank side. So it's a nice arc right on that backhand side, back towards the centre line. And a good arc bowl. Here's another good bowl coming in here from Scott McKenzie. Yeah, this was depends. We're just going to sit in front of the 2 bowls, and it does. That's 2 shots.
Well, both have picked line very well on the scene. It's just a matter of pace. And Ross has just been over with both his, and Scott has been just inside,
aren't they? Which is.
So this is an important bowl here. He needs to draw the shot here.
He's on a good line, Peter. How's the weight coming into the jack? Looks to be on a pretty good line. How far is it going to run? Going to get past the bowl? It will, but it'll be second shot. Fell in.
I think it's shot now. That's fallen in.
It fell in. So the Doug Crombie asking, and is the shot. You saw the marker Doug Crombie clearly indicate that was 1 to Ross Ellery. So Scott McKenzie. Stay on that backhand, sit the bowl.
Just a slight correction on pace required.
Of course, he's definitely adjusted his line, Peter, that's for sure.
It just depends how far it runs away. And he's going to be a little short. And just under green, just a fraction.
So Ellery now, he'll stay on that backhand side and draw, and his aim will be now to draw to the yellow bowl sitting there just out from the head of Scott McKenzie's on that backhand side. Ellery got that out on a good line. It looks as though it's going to short of weight, very short of weight in fact.
Yeah, be disappointed in that. And now Scott's coming down to have a look. He may be looking for the shot bowl. He may have. He's certainly got 2 seconds, and just a question of whether his third bowl is in the count as well. If that maroon bowl gets taken out,
it's a matter, I think, Peter, as well, as if we can get that bowl, the shot bowl, out of the head. He would definitely lay 2. The bowler behind would more than likely move out of the head, but he's got the opportunity. The only thing he doesn't want the jack, of course, going back towards the ditch, because the two deepest bowls on the green belong to Ross Ellery.
Well, he's loading up on forehand, so I think he's going to attack this.
Trying to get that, turn the bowl through the head, just depending what weight he plays on that forehand, as Peter rightly said, reaching weight up on that forehand side to get to the shot bowl, and it's on its way. And it's going to come under the head, but he might get a touch on the jack, all but got a touch. And if he got a side slice on the jack, then it certainly would have gone out in his favour.
It wasn't far away. It was a good effort, considering that I don't think they've played too many bowls down that forehand side.
There hasn't been very many at all.
But, a feather on the jack would have given him shot, but just slipped past.
And the one's been conceded. Just look at that board, Peter. Is it up at 6-5? Is it?
It certainly is, and I'm not sure whether, looking at my notes here, whether we missed an end there.
Oh. So at the market, Doug Crombie, he's done the board. So 6-5 to Scott McKenzie of the Wairarapa. And of course, also pairs and fours also in the same Wairarapa versus Manawatu in this quarter-final of the National Intercentre Championships. We see the first bowl of Alaries just short of weight under the line. You can see the jack on the 2 metre mark. Scott McKenzie, he'll play on his forehand. Looked out of the hand. Looked on a fairly good line out of his hand. Just questioned the weight going by. Certainly got back to the centre line all right, and it will. Goes by. So we were right, Peter. Scoreboard has just been adjusted, and it is 6-4. 6-4 to Scott McKenzie of the Wairarapa over Ross Ellery of the Manawatu. So here's now Ross Ellery playing his second bowl. Playing down towards the Wellington City end. Just going to sit outside. What is the shot bowl of Scott McKenzie's? The green here. Not affected really by any wind. Well, there's virtually no wind. Running around about 16 seconds. As we see now, Scott McKenzie on his forehand. Very deliberate on the mat. And again, it's got it out on that nice drawing arc. Breaking its way back now towards the centre line. And it's going to sit just by on the right on the centre line. So McKenzie, Peter's certainly been pretty consistent with his draw, hasn't he? Hasn't really, he's certainly in and around the head.
Yes, he's probably been a little more consistent than what Ross has been in these early stages.
So this bowler, Ross Ellery's now on that, breaking down towards the head, not going to have the weight to get all the way. And we'll still leave the Wairarapa play up, laying 2 shots with 1 bowl left as Ross Ellery. So the pressure can go right on here, Peter. Should Scott McKenzie draw another shot here. It's on its way on the forehand in the Nike shorts. And again is on that wide of that good arc of the line. Needs to sit inside this Ross Ellery bowl. And will do so.
Fell back. Question being asked now.
So asking the marker how low the jacket was. And it's about 18 inches lower the jack. Now asking Doug Crombie whether it's counting or not. So, well, really, Peter, logically, the only shot really on is that on that forehand to either get second shot or the shot. There's definitely a good open draw in there on the forehand side.
It is a bit disappointing. He played a reasonable ball with his first, and he hasn't been able to get closer with his second and third deliveries. So
just depends how far this is going to run. This bowl, he's going to get the jack. Is he? No, just goes by the jack, just fractionally under the centre line. Now asking that marker again now, with that last bowl made any difference to the head for Scott McKenzie? 2 and a measure, was that the call there?
I think it was 1 and a measure.
1 and a measure, is it?
Whether it's 1 and 2 measures or one measure.
Could well be. Could Scott
Looking at the monitor, it could very well be 2 measures, but
Scott McKenzie, interesting that changed his hand.
Yes, that's surprising.
Don't
that
think
he's
he
gone
had to,
on
Peter.
the backhand. He's got his own bowl on the way in, and that's an opponent's bowl there. But
yeah, I don't think there's any danger there, really, Peter. Just
no,
drawing past his own on that forehand
exactly.
side. There's no danger of knocking the bowl, running the bowl into the head, but the one's come out, and Salary looking, and now I think the measure will come out again. It is. And at Silverstream, I can tell you that the quarterfinals underway there, and the women's Intercentre finals. The quarterfinals been played at Silverstream. We've got Dunedin up against Northland, Canterbury up against North Harbour, Bay of Plenty versus Nelson, and Wellington versus South Canterbury. So definitely, now there's the check of the scoreboard again now from the players.
Yes, I think there was some confusion. One of those little gusts flicked some of those numbers over.
Yeah, which can happen, of course.
So 1 to Wairarapa, and they lead 7-4.
Good start for the Wairarapa combination. And if I look at that pairs, Peter, is that Wairarapa leading 11-0 after 4 ends? Is that correct?
Yes, that's what the scoreboard's indicating. JC, John Clayton, not too many bowlers have been around the traps as long as what he has.
He certainly has been.
And still continuing to play extremely good bowls, although as I look at there, he's probably played one that we should mention how short it is.
And in the fours, I can tell you that it is Wairarapa as well, who are leading in the fours 7-3. So good start from the Wairarapa side in this the quarter-final up against the well-performed Manawatu side. As we watch this first bowl of Scott McKenzie's now, shortened the jack length up. Very good opening bowl from McKenzie, just touches on the jack, moves it off the centre line, just sits about 18 inches from the jack. Very good opening bowl.
Singles is all about first bowl effectiveness. If you're getting in there first, it makes a huge difference to the way the game goes. Game's a lot easier when you're playing with the shot than when you're constantly playing when you're down, and that's certainly the case at the moment with more often than not Scott having the shot looking to add while Ross is having to try and cut the count down. And
yeah, I think Ross Ellery to date in this game has only really sort of had one head that I would say that he owned the head, so to speak.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's really what makes a difference, isn't it? You know, now Scott McKenzie's making that first bowl very, very effective, and from there on he's able to have some control over the head. And again, here is McKenzie on the backhand. Certainly got a different line to what we saw with Ross Ellery. He's got a wee bit more weight on this, but he won't mind this. It's going to come right back to the centre line and sit on that deeper part of the green. And when you've got the shot sitting there, Peter, to have a bowl 1.5 metres, 2 metres over the head, it's not all bad, is it?
It's not, because it gives him some options. If Ross actually draws one close, he can now afford to play a little bit of pace, and if he gets the jack, he's got a bowl waiting there for it.
So Ross Ellery now with his second. This looks a better line with this bowl. Just question, how's the weight? Coming back past the centre line now, and it's going to go by. And at this stage, you're right, Peter, Scott McKenzie's been able to get that effective bowl pretty early on the head, and Ross Ellery is on the defensive, really.
He is, and when you're just struggling a little bit as Ross is at the moment, it's just a matter of staying in the game, so you limit the damage that gets
Absolutely.
done. And here's a toucher again.
The toucher, The jack right on the 2 metre mark. See the two front bowls, the yellow bowls, the Scott McKenzie's other shot. So Ellery quickly onto the mat on the backhand.
Probably a little unlucky you got the jack there, because it's actually brought Ross's first two bowls that were a little bit heavy, more into play on this end, but he needs to play a good one here.
Just how's the width on this now? Is it breaking down towards the head? How's the weight? Don't think it's going to make it. It's not. He'd be disappointed, Peter, with not being able to get some consistency on the draw.
Well, it's one of the things about our game, isn't it? If you've played a good one, you've got to be able to do it again. And
absolutely.
If you've played one, you've got to be able to make the correction. And heavy with his first, heavier game with the second, and then the overcorrection, which sees him at least 2 down when he comes to play his next bowl. And if Scott draws another one, he could be 3. And he switched to the forehand. He played a pretty good one down here the last time.
Did, and it looks as though he's going to nestle in around his own bowls. And he is. Now he's going to sit. Now the only danger here is it's gone past. It's at jack level. There was a chance of attacking weight to the head. But really now it's just a draw, Peter, on the back end.
Yes, I don't think he'd be unhappy with that. You've got to play a pretty good bowl here to reduce the count and even better to score. So this is a crucial bowl.
Looks to be under the line, Peter.
He's underneath it.
So that'll be a 3 to Scott McKenzie from the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa. And the Wairarapa supporters at this early stage of this quarter-final, overall, they'll be pretty happy, Peter, with how their scoreboards are looking.
Well, I don't think they could have wished for a better start. Manawatu have been dominant in the last 3 days, and sometimes it happens. You want to have some tough matches on the way through, and I'm not saying that the Manawatu didn't have some tough matches, but you at least want to have one of your disciplines to be in front in these early stages.
Well, if we look at the round robin stages, Peter, they had 12 match points, so they won 6 matches and 12 games overall.
Yes.
So they've gone very well in the round robin stage. So, but things can change. Long way to go, of course. Now the fours play 15 ends, and the pairs is 18 ends. Of course, as we said, the singles is the race to 25. Jack's been delivered by Scott McKenzie, slightly shorter length than his first, than his previous ends. You'll see it there, a metre out from the 2 metre mark, just staying on that side of the rink, and he's certainly got that consistency, Peter, on the draw. No doubt about that.
Oh, that's an excellent starter. Falls down. So he's asking a lot of questions of Ross at the moment. As mentioned earlier, when you're struggling, but normally in a 25-end game, both players will have some ascendancy at various stages of the match, and you just, if you're in Ross's case, he's just got to limit the damage as much as possible.
So endeavouring to get down to the jack here on a good line, but unfortunately just going to drop half a metre of weight. Of course, the problem with that, I suppose, Peter, is once you start to get those front bowls, you can restrict your shot options later on in the head to be able to attack with too much front stuff up there.
Well, unfortunately so. If at some stage he was wishing to attack, then his own bowl's now in the way.
Certainly. Now, this is surprising me, Peter. Scott McKenzie has been so consistent, but look, changed his hand, and he's drawn jack level the backhand. And
well, on a hand that you haven't played too much, it's probably better that you play it while you're holding shot, rather than having
trying to get out of it.
Yes.
When you're 3 down or trying to get the shot. So Ellery again now on his forehand.
Just needs a metre of pace.
He's got a better line this time. How's the weight? Got to get past his front bowl. Not going to, just going to run into his front bowl, and as Peter rightly said now, to attack the head just about impossible now. He's clogged it up a bit with those 2 front bowls, and here's a chance for Scott McKenzie to dominate this head. can sit inside his own, which is the second shot. He certainly be putting some pressure right on the Manawatu player, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to sit on his own and tip it. So it's certainly, Ellery's got to change his hand surely here, Peter.
No doubt about that. And he's got to make sure he arrives. And of course, if, the tendency is sometimes you overplay it.
Give it that generous yard, don't you?
Yes.
To make sure you're there.
But, you know, the shot is he's got to try and draw it. And he's on a pretty good line here. It just depends on pace.
He needs a bit of luck here on the slide. Does he get some luck? He does. Got a slide in front.
He didn't have the pace.
Didn't have the weight. Would still be 2 down at least, I would say. And you would know, Peter, playing the amount of singles that you played, that if you know in your own mind you've got that management of the consistency of your weight, it just makes it that much better, doesn't it, than trying to find your weight.
It is, yeah. And look, he's not far away, Ross.
Well, he was only a couple of feet at the most on that last ball. He wasn't... so on but the back end...
He's going to be facing another difficult shot with his last...
So again is Scott McKenzie. He's down inside that line again. This is well played again, Peter. He sits on this to the jack. This is now, of course, what has happened though, it does open the opportunity up to attack with weight.
It is. That's the worst place he would have wanted to finish.
Yeah.
Now the target is probably half a metre wide. But he's still got to play it, and
he's got to play it.
Just how much pace he's going to play this with.
But he can certainly get reduction out of it, or the jack, that's for sure. I thought he might have played with more weight than that to hold it up, but he's literally on the draw. And how's the line? No.
He's short again.
Well, I'm surprised at that, Peter. That was, once you got that jack level bowl sitting there, it was just...
That's right, and there's also a plant there. If he got on his own, it plants in there, but, the middle of those 3 shots there, that should have been the target bowl that he was going to get
Absolutely.
to. And looking at 4 here, and this is a sizable break.
Well, even if you were half a bowl off target, you're going to reduce in it. You're going to reduce some of those numbers anyway.
Exactly. And there was a plant there as well. If he'd got onto his front bowl.
Psychologically, I think you'd agree with me, Peter. When you know you're struggling, like Ross Ellery is, to attack then was more than likely the best thing to do. Get out of here, just to sort of try something different, try and get a result. When you know you're struggling on the draw, it's just a mindset thing, isn't it?
Yeah, look, he'd had 3 attempted draw shots, and while not far away, wasn't able to reduce the count at all, and you had to give yourself a chance, and basically he didn't give himself a chance on that. And
paid the price. It's 13-4. It's interesting, Peter, looking at the scoreboard early on here, we've had 4 threes.
It is, and that
tells a story, doesn't it?
It does. And the game gets away on you very quickly if you're dropping multiple counts, and one at a time. At least it gives you. You're in the game for a lot longer, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to prolong the game until you get a chance to either play better yourself or the opposition just eases up a little bit.
Well, here's the big chance for Ross Ellery. We just saw Scott McKenzie deliver his first bowl, and with too much weight, Jack's right on the 2 metre mark, and it rolled its way into the ditch. So here's the chance now for Ellery on the back end for him to put the pressure on Scott McKenzie, which we haven't really seen in this match to date.
Well, I presume that...
it's a good opening bowl from Ellery. That'll make him feel better.
I think Scott made a mistake there in rolling the jack, because he's been playing probably 3 metres shorter than that.
I was just going to say, Peter, he was more than likely, I'd say, about 8 to 10 feet from where he'd actually been playing. And you saw his body language when he played his first bowl as well, that he was just didn't have the same. He was right in the bowl straight off the mat, so he knew that he's got to go. Good bowl here. The second bowl, correction, still short. That's short though by a metre. Now here's the chance for Ellery to as Peter and I spoke about before, to get some control of the head. And I can tell you in the pairs, it is now Wairarapa leading Manua to 11 shots to 4. 11 shots to 4. And in the fours, it is 7-3 after 5 ends to the Wairarapa. As we watch this second bowl of Ross Alaries is going to go by with weight. And I think just looking at the body language with this third bowl of Scott McKenzie's, he can endeavour to change his hand and play down to that shot bowl. Now that he's got the second shot, which is about a metre lower than Jack, trying to get down to the Ellery bowl. And it's, you'll see it there sitting on the 2 metre mark. It's on a pretty good line. Is it going to get the gap though, or the Jack? Gets the Jack, moves it around the corner, and will go towards the ditch. Still plenty of room though. Still Ellery with the shot, but good to see him frightened not to attack really though, Peter, isn't it?
Well, that's right. Look, he's playing very confidently at the moment, and could have very easily got a far better result. He wouldn't be unhappy with that. He's probably still one down, but he's given himself quite a bit of room to draw the shot, and now Ross has got to get one in close, so put a little bit of pressure on him.
So
that's a pretty handy bowl.
So from Scott McKenzie's point of view here now, really it's more about getting second shot, and if you happen to get the shot, well, that's a bonus.
Exactly.
Don't leave yourself in a position where you can drop 3. So second shot is the name of the game here, and he'll go back to his backhand, playing up towards the clubhouse. Commentary position here on the backhand is Scott McKenzie. He gives it a grimace. Might be narrow. It's on its way towards the head now. How far is it going to break or sit on something? Needs to sit on that second shot bowl, and well, won't do so, I don't think. It'll still be 2, Peter.
He might have cut one out. Difficult to tell from the monitor.
Very difficult.
We can't see it from where we are, but here's a chance for Ross to add another one here, and just give himself a little bit of confidence. He's got a good line. It just depends on pace.
Looks to be in the counting area, Peter. Gets right to the centre line.
I thought his line was better than that, and the pace was enough if he had the correct line. So one bowl comes out, and I think that might only be one, although they're going to measure.
They're going to measure.
Just looking at the reaction of Ross there.
Yes.
It wasn't one of, yes, I think I've got more than that. We'll see as soon as anyone else. Yes, it is. Yeah. Last one might have just got in.
The last bowl may have just scraped into the count. We'll see from the marker in but a moment. Our marker, Doug Cromberry from the Wilton Club here, as we bring you the action from this quarter-final here, the men's, and it was 2.
It's as they say, Kevin, it's not how close you get, it's just beating your opponent's
beating the other
bowl.
one. And the important part there as well, though, was, Peter, was not to try and get out too wide, because the jack had been moved off the centre line. And of course, the danger is you get out too wide, you don't come back. So, you know, to play under the line fractionally, you had a metre to draw the shot in. So, yeah, in these games out here, Peter, Manui versus Auckland, I'm not sure.
Auckland 10-4 up in the pair. It's 13-1 in the fours.
And there's a singles, Jamie Hill out in front of us here. As you watch Lawson.
I think that's pretty close. Unfortunately, I can't see the Auckland side of the scoreboard, but Whanganui are 9.
So the jack's been delivered, and you'll see the first bowl of Ross Alaries. That's a metre lower the jack. He'd be disappointed with that. Interesting, Peter, that he's Ross Ellery has delivered the length to really the length where Scott McKenzie's really been excelling.
Yes, and he's had a number of short bowls in that direction, and that was another one. And that's one of those cases when you really got to say, okay, I'm going to draw a metre past the jack. And if you do that, that's a good starter. But if you've just not quite judging it, you're likely to end up around the jack.
Yeah, well, so now Ellery and Mackenzie, of course, saw the door open straight away and drew on his forehand, drew jack level, and puts it. And there's the second bowl of Ellery's. Peter, you know, obviously, you know, you played enough, but it's when you're struggling like Ross Ellery is now. I just think you're better to try 2 metre, just get the mat back, play the 2 metre, play on the 2 metre mark, deliver the jack to the 2 metre mark. Because I think it's just a better percentage option.
Yeah, look, you get a bit more rhythm on the longer lengths than perhaps the shorter lengths. But I think at the moment, you know, that was a poor second bowl that he missed line as well as the pace, and he's just got to settle down and just go through, you know, what we in the coaching side of things now, the process of delivering your bowl and not looking at the outcome, not concentrating on that. You know, you get the processes right, they generally go and
absolutely they do
where you'd like them to go, and so he's got a correction of both line and length to make here.
The problem is, Peter, when you try and steer the bowl to where you want it to go to, and I just see this third bowl of Ross Ellery's again under the line and short, and it's the old danger of looking at your visualisation of really looking at the head rather than where you need to be looking to try and get the bowl to work towards the head.
Yeah, he'd be frustrated with that because his pace wasn't too bad, but he missed the line. You know, the first one he had the line and missed the pace, and another shot being drawn here. And these are the awkward ones when conditions are good, but they are just a little tricky, and you've got to play a pretty good one to head those ones off. And he's not able to do this. That he's looking at another 2 down and possibly 3.
It's certainly under pressure. Is Ellery here trailing 13 shots to 6, and how far is this going to come back towards the centre line? This will be the best of his 4 bowls, and may well make second shot. No, just falls outside it, so will at least be 2 shots to the Wairarapa player, and he can make 3 of it with his last bowl on that forehand, just to hold that line. Good target where he knows he has to draw to, and he can make 3 of it for sure on the forehand.
And once again, Ross was just on the wrong side. That could have very easily been on the inside. He would have fallen for shot. And Scotty's played a pretty good one here.
Bowl here. This is going to sit on. How far is it going to run by? Definitely 2. May only be 2 because it did run another couple of feet after it set on what was the shot bowl, but definitely the Wairarapa scoring again, leading 13-6, and the market, Doug Crombie, will confirm it in but a moment.
In the Wanganui Auckland singles match, Jamie Hill from Auckland leads Bruce Winterburn 11-10. So good match going there between obviously Jamie Hill, a blackjack, and Bruce Winterburn, who's a more than handy player, lost the New Zealand singles final.
Certainly is a good player.
In Wellington to Peter Shane a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. So the jack was delivered by Scott McKenzie and had a bit too much weight on it and went into the ditch. So now Ross Ellery of the Manawatu, the Foxton Beach Club, he'll redeliver the jack. So don't forget, tomorrow morning we'll be back live here at the Wilton Bowling Club. We'll be bringing you semi-final action of the Bowls New Zealand National Intercentre finals, and of course the finals directly after that, both the men and the women. The women, of course, at Silverstream at present, playing their quarterfinals, and we have got Dunedin up against Northland, Canterbury versus North Harbour, Bay of Plenty versus Nelson, and Wellington up against South Canterbury. The defending champions in the women, Auckland, they didn't make their way into the quarterfinals. They had a pretty rough day yesterday, and I looked through the results, and it was a 2. So 15-6 now. And now's the time as well, Peter, from Ross Allery's point of view. Let's just forget about the scoreboard and let's try and build some heads. Let's get a couple of scoring heads and then go from there.
Just look to get a shot. Well, it's nice to get them in clumps. At times you just got to be satisfied. Okay, I've got to be patient here. I just got to try and get the shot.
7-6 now. 7-6 Wairarapa leading Manawatu in the fours. So watch this bowl of Ross Allery's. Jacks come up lower the jack though. It's a good metre. Good metre or metre and a half lower the jack. So you'll see now Mackenzie from the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa on his forehand. He'll certainly endeavour to get this bowl actually right on top of the jack and put the pressure on from the second bowl onwards of Ross Allery, the Manawatu. Comes towards their head now, Peter. Good bowl here, Peter. Another good bowl from the Wairarapa player. Draws a toucher, sits literally right in behind it.
He's playing well.
And we will endeavour to get you some updates from the other two matches that have been played up on the top green here. We've got Canterbury versus Southland and Dunedin versus Wellington. Big singles clash up there. Mike Kernahan, of course, Dunedin, up against one of the young stars of New Zealand bowls, Seamus Curtin. As we watch this bowl, Ross Allery trying to sit on the shot bowl and just falls outside it. And
it's a frustrating game.
Frustrating. He was right on target. And, of course, the Wellington side up against, to say, Dunedin and Canterbury, the form side, versus Southland, and we'll endeavour to get you an update throughout the afternoon of that quarter-final as you watch this third bowl of Scott Mackenzie's. Just going to fall low of the jack.
Yeah, one of the few times he's been a little short.
Yeah, so will Allery play with that yard of weight, Peter, up under the Mackenzie bowl? There's a natural sit there, isn't there, with that yard of weight just reaching through the bowl.
Yes, he was just asking whether he's just the one down, which he is.
Well, what I would say, you might prove me wrong here, but my comment would just be an interesting shot selection, Peter.
Well, Scott's last bowl is obviously, he thought that's in his line, and he switched to the backhand. There's another short bowl, and that just kills you, these short bowls.
The reason why I say it as well, Peter, because it does give you the chance of having an effective bowl rather than trying to dead draw to the jack. At least it's going to get you up and through the head, and the chance of a reduction or sitting on the shot bowl.
Well, certainly he played a good bowl with his second, and was just a fraction. He actually got onto the shot bowl but turned it in behind the jack rather than sitting on it squarely. So he only had to play something similar, and the yellow bowl that's out there at 11 o'clock becomes a nice guide for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's Scott Mackenzie now, but coming past his own bowl and coming down towards the Ross Allery bowl, going to sit inside it. And you've got to play it now, Peter. There's just no...
well, the problem he has now, if he's a half a bowl wide and misses, he gets his own, he's four down. So, there's... this is tough for him at the moment.
So
he's going to try and just...
I think reaching up through that forehand.
It looks if he's on the forehand now.
Reach up through that, playing with a weight to get down under that front bowl to get to the jack. And he's going to get that front bowl of his own. And was actually off target, really, Peter, to the line of that to get the reduction or the jack, wasn't he, really?
Yeah, he was. And this game is slipping away quickly now. The last 5 ends, it's been 10 shots to 2, and that in itself tells the story.
Well, also from Scott Mackenzie's point of view, he's got his manager and others sitting here. He's also going to be having a look, for example, at the John Clayton board in the pairs, and the pairs are going good. We're going good, so
that's right. They're still in front, although in the fours it's only 1 shot in it now. In the pairs, it's 5 shots. but there's little doubt, this game is going quickly, and you get the first leg in of the two that you need to advance.
It's a big difference.
It puts pressure on the other two Manawatu sides too, because they're all aware of what's happening over there, and sometimes that has a bearing on just how you play your game.
I was just going to remark, Peter, we all know, we've all played enough provincial bowls in years gone by, and once you get that first game done and you know what the result is, you're actually playing the big scoreboard from then on as well, aren't you? Because
exactly.
You have to, you've got to either get two or you've got to get one. So you can, heads can be played differently, can't they?
It is. Because this concept is a team, and it's over the three disciplines, a team event, and so consequently each match is dependent on what's happening in the other matches as well. So,
I see Ross Ellery electing with his first bowl there to change his hand, just trying to find something to give him some confidence, because at the moment there's no doubt Pete, he'd be feeling there'd be lots of things running around in his head thinking, how can I draw a shot? Because it's certainly been a struggle for him due to the consistency of Scott McKenzie, and there's been two attributes in McKenzie's play. One, he's been consistent really within a metre. He's continuously got back to the centre line and had consistent weight.
Yeah, and on this end, he's given Ross a little bit of a chance here.
And this is a better looking bowl here from Ross Ellery as it's breaking down towards the head. But again, how's the weight going to be? It's definitely under the line. That'll be shot though for sure.
Oh, he'll be pleased with that.
It sits literally right on the centre line. Just lower the jack and will be shot. He'll feel happy about that. So McKenzie now will play on his forehand, endeavouring to draw down. I see the lollies coming out to get some sugar, some energy into the Manawatu side, and McKenzie looks on a pretty good line.
Yeah,
how's the weight?
He's playing a little bit of pace here, arriving weight.
Is he going to get the jack? Yes, he is.
He has. And look, that's
when it's going for you, Peter.
It's a telling blow for the first time. Ross has played a good one, and the next bowl, and that's the type of pace you play there. You sit the bowl, you trail the jack, and he's trailed the jack to one of his other bowls, so he's now holding two.
He was only really a metre over the draw line, really, wasn't he? And
that's what he'd be trying to do.
Yep.
Just play that metre, give yourself a chance, and played it to perfection.
So this has forced Ross Ellery to change his hand now to try and get down to these counting bowls, and hasn't got the weight.
Well, I think there's the difference. He's tried. He needed to play the same type of bowl as what Scotty played. Arrived down there, and now it's in his way.
So here's some interesting results. The Canterbury versus Southland match, and in the singles match we've got Craig Merrilies of Southland up against the current New Zealand player Andrew Kelly, and it's Merrilies of Southland leading 14 shots to 6. In the pairs it's Southland leading Canterbury 9 shots to 3, and in the fours it is Canterbury leading Southland 10-3. So in the singles it's Craig Merrilies of Southland who is leading Andrew Kelly. In the pairs it's Southland leading after 7 ends 9-3. And in the fours, after 11 of 15 ends, it is Canterbury leading 10-3. In the Dunedin versus Wellington game, it is Mike Kernahan up against Seamus Curtin, and I can tell you that it's Kernahan that's leading Seamus Curtin by 16 shots to 12. In the pairs, it is Wellington leading Dunedin 10 shots to 9. And in the fours, it is Wellington leading in the fours 10-5. So in the singles, we've got Mike Kernahan of Dunedin leading by 16 shots to 12 over Seamus Curtin. In the pairs, it's Wellington leading Dunedin 10-9. And in the fours, it's Wellington leading Dunedin 10-5. So that Dunedin-Wellington game, it could go either way, Peter, and we could have a surprise situation in the Southland Canterbury match.
Yes, well, they have the ascendancy in those games, and if you look at what's happening here, the Whanganui pair have made a bit of a fight back. They're only down 10-9. While the Gary Lawson 4 is still dominant at 14-3. Bruce Winterburn leads Jamie Hill 13-12. So those two matches are in the balance, and
so
the fours looks it's pretty safe for Auckland at halfway stage.
What we've seen, Peter, in about 3 or 4 ends, a change around, haven't we, really, in that Whanganui-Auckland game. And in the Wairarapa game, I can tell you in the pairs, it's Wairarapa who are leading 12-7 in the pairs, and leading 19-6 is Scott McKenzie over Ross Ellery in the singles in the race to 25. And I can't quite see the fours board at this point as we crank down the scoreboard here at quarterfinals time of the Bowl New Zealand Intercentre finals here at the Wilden Bowling Club, and we've seen a very convincing performance to date from Scott McKenzie from the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa up against the well-performed Ross Ellery of Foxton Beach, the Manawatu. Now on the backhand is Scott McKenzie leading 19-6. And it's got one again, as you'll see, sitting right on top of the jack, right on the 2 metre mark. The Ellery bowl just half a bowl short. This is well played again, Peter. Just falls inside that second shot. He's playing very well. Here's Scott McKenzie.
Well, he's asking all the questions at the moment, and he's only 6 shots away from winning this match. And scoreboard pressure is evident. Sometimes, when you're this far behind, sometimes you know that the game is perhaps gone, and you might just relax a little bit, and
it
then
comes your way.
Then you start to play better. This trying too hard syndrome, and it's something that all players experience at some stage. But we've got to give credit here to Scotty McKenzie, who's
been
playing exceptionally well.
Very nice delivery as well. Gets the bowl out. Gets a good arc on the bowl. On the backhand is McKenzie holding 2 shots as it breaks towards the centre line now. He seems to have this line down to a pretty good consistency, Peter, and he's done it again. Draws in front. That'll count as well. So there's 4 bowls that have been around the head now, and they're all within about 2 feet of the jack. Ross Ellery going up to have a look, as is Scott McKenzie, and I can tell you now it is 9-8. No, it's
8-6.
8-6, my apologies. 8-6 to Wairarapa over Manawatu after 7 ends of 15 in the fours. As Peter said, in the Whanganui-Auckland game, as Gary Lawson is leading in the fours for Auckland, the singles and the pairs is certainly at this stage anyone's game. So Peter, is the option here for Ellery to try and attack the front, open the head up?
I would
play onto his own bowl in the middle of that triangle.
That's right. He's liable to get rid of those front 2. They're all counting, so he's got to play some weight here, and hope that he gets a good result.
Well, you could try so hard to draw the shot here, Peter, but you could also.
Well, one of the things, Kevin, you haven't looked at, and something that a lot of the players do, and I certainly did, was, if you're going to have 10 goes at this shot, how many would you get on the draw, how many would you get on an attacking
Correct.
shot, and that determines which shot you should play, and he's attacking this
It's
on
the
the
right
backhand.
shot from Ellery, trying to play right through to the bowls and just going to go past under the centre line.
Actually, the forehand.
Yeah, it's a hard, So the problem, of course, there, Peter, is we said there, you're playing on the forehand with weight, you're playing away from the head, whereas at least I thought he'd attack that to the front on the backhand to try and.
Yeah, some players have a preference for
They
which
do.
end they play their attacking shots on. He had to make contact with the front to give himself a chance.
There's a big bowl here now, 2 big bowls here now. And as I'm looking now, 10 ends gone in the pairs in the Whanganui v Auckland. Just waiting for someone to move there. Tony Grantham chalking a Galloway bowl. This is another good bowl. This is superb bowling, isn't it, Peter? That's great draw play from Scott McKenzie.
Oh, that's outstanding.
So this is Ross Ellery now has to make contact with the head on the drive is Ellery. Well, this looks going to go by wide. Big wide, in fact. And 10-9, Peter, now that score in the pairs, I can tell you. Just wait for the board to be changed. But now, 23 shots to 6 to Wairarapa in the pairs. Now, as you said before the start of this match, Peter, this would be a great game to get on with the TAB, wouldn't it?
Look, this is irrespective of what happens. Wairarapa have done an outstanding job over the last 3 days, and
it's great to see, isn't it?
It
the
is.
smaller
It just shows
centres. It's great to see. One of our smaller centres. They're into the quarterfinals, in with a good chance of being here tomorrow in the semi-finals, and that's a great accolade, isn't it?
Of course, and these type of events. There's little doubt that the major centres predominantly get through, but it shows that you don't have to be from one of the major centres. And every centre has some pretty good bowlers there, and if it's your day, then you can make a nuisance of yourself and roll some of the more fancied centres.
Well, I'm certainly watching a pretty handy one here in Scott McKenzie, the Wairarapa singles player, who has been outstanding throughout this on the draw. Here's Ellery now. Knows that he's got, well, it's bigger than a mountain to climb.
Well, it is. Not too many games have won from 23-6 down. Had a chance there, probably a metre and a half to draw the shot, and
there's not many chances to make mistakes at this point of the game.
No, that's right, and you can get a lucky one here or there, or an unlucky one, and the game is finished. So, but we've all had stories of great comebacks. But to be fair, there's Ross is just not playing well enough,
and he knows that.
Yeah,
and we all know, and taking nothing away at all from Scott McKenzie, Ross Ellery is a better player than what we're seeing here at present. But look, you've got to get to 25 first, so you just worry about the numbers, and while he's still there, you've got a chance. So here's Ellery now playing his second bowl. He's got a metre, in fact, to draw the shot. And this looks to be under the line. How far is it going to run? If it sits jack level, he'll make shot, and he does. And that'll be the shot for sure. So the Canterbury game, a further update of the Canterbury versus Southland game, and I can tell you that Southland are now leading Canterbury 15 shots to 8. In the pairs, it is now Canterbury leading 11 shots to 6, Peter.
Or 8.
11-8, we'll say.
Unfortunately, the
11-8. I'm just having a look at what our last update was. 11-8 to Canterbury. In the fours, it is Southland that are leading, according to this, 10-3, which is different to what we had before. So perhaps we might do another check on that.
I think so, Kevin.
Yeah, I think we will. In the singles, the Dunedin-Wellington game, Mike Kernan up against Seamus Curtin. It is Mike Kernan who is leading 16 shots to 15. In the pairs, it's now locked up 10-all. 10-all, Dunedin v Wellington in the pairs. And in the fours, it is Wellington leading Dunedin by 13 shots to 6. And we need to do a bit of check-up work on that Canterbury-Southland match. So we're not for one moment saying the scores we gave you are correct, because they just differ quite significantly from what we were given earlier. But in this feature match, it is 23-6 to Scott McKenzie of the Wairarapa, the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa, leading Ross Ellery of the Manawatu of the Foxton Beach Club. And in the pairs, it's tightening up there now, Peter, in the 12-11 now, Wairarapa leading Manawatu. And of course the fours, we know that's very close as well. So here is McKenzie now. He one down on the head.
Well, he's probably two down on the first few occasions in the last probably half an hour that he's playing down. coming on the
Going
back
to be
end.
outside. Is he not going to get under the to the counting bowl? No, he's not. And this will be the first time, wow, for the last 6 ends whereby Ellery has been able to get in a scoring position. Great chance here of scoring 3. On the back end is the Manawatu player. Needs to just draw in that port. You can clearly see there. Looks to be. How's the weight? Looks on a good line. Not going to get there though. He's going to fall lower the jack, and we'll score 2 though.
One for sure. I don't know whether they're going to have those players, and no doubt there. Just can't see the board of the markers. 2. 23-8.
And of course the other quarter final down here in front of us, it's Auckland up against Whanganui, and we know that it's Auckland leading in the pairs by 10-9. Auckland leading 14-4 in the fours, the Gary Lawson match against Ray Park, and in the pair singles, Jamie Hill up against Bruce Winterburn. It's Jamie Hill on 16, and I think Bruce 16-13. It is Jamie Hill leading Bruce Winterburn. So interesting here, Peter. We've seen now Ross Ellery securing the jack and has delivered it very, very short. Out come the umpire. Matt's back a bit though, isn't it?
Yeah, Steve Sargent doing the duties here, and the jack looks to be only a half a metre past the mark, so obviously the mat is not on the 2 metre mark at the other end, so that's up a little bit.
So Steve Sargent deciding, yes, it is the jack has up to the length required, and this would definitely be the shortest length, Peter, that they have played to date. You'll see the wind just buffing around in the trees behind the green there, but certainly not enough wind, you would say, to cause a lot of frustration for the players. So here is Ellery on the back end. And Canterbury, as we say, Canterbury up against Southland, Dunedin up against Wellington, and we'll get an update there as well shortly. Another good opening bowl here from Ross Ellery. He'll feel better about that. Finishes jack level. And of course, Scott McKenzie only needs the 2 shots, 10 all now, Peter, in that Piers game, in the Auckland Whanganui game. 10 all after 11 of 18 ends. As we watch Scott McKenzie now on the back end. Looks to be on a wider line than what the Ellery bowl will come past it towards the centre line, and does.
And this is from Ross Ellery, a change of length. He's got to change something up. In this case, he's gone very short. Played a reasonable first bowl, so he's got to capitalise on that.
So Ellery is on a better line again with this bowl, and this is, as Peter rightly said, had to change something around, and he's really done that. This is, although they're not sitting right on top of the jack, they're certainly far more effective bowls than what we've seen over previous ends. So McKenzie now endeavouring to draw. Doesn't need to change much. He wasn't that far away from getting the shot itself. Needs to be under this bowl, this jack level bowl. There's a good bowl here from Scott McKenzie. How far is it going to run? That'll be the shot, Peter. Sits right on the centre line. Came right back to the centre line. So here, Ross Ellery now trailing 23-8, 1 down on the head, endeavouring to reach the McKenzie bowl. Is going to be under the line, and here's the chance here now, Peter, for Scott McKenzie to really put the pressure on and hold game. Again, he'll play on that backhand with the Wairarapa singles player from the Carrington Club.
Just got to play the same again.
He has very good delivery, Peter, hasn't he? Never changes much.
Yes.
And he's going to draw under that front bowl of Ellery's and draw to the jack and get a front toucher on it.
Oh,
Good
great bowl.
Great bowl. And sits his game. So one would think, Peter, really you've got to attack this with some sort of weight.
You do. His game against here, and he's got to reach it. And that was unfortunate with his third bowl. He'd played two reasonable first bowls, and then...
So here, reaching weight on the backhand is Ellery's going to get something. Gets one. Only got the one. He was certainly on target there to get the right result. Of course, a bowl left here for Scott McKenzie. His only concern, he'll stay, interesting to see whether he stays on the backhand, because he certainly doesn't want to touch the jack. He might elect to change, to draw.
I think he'll play exactly the same.
Well, he's played three there, hasn't he?
He has, and the first opportunity to go out.
Just got to stay on that line, which he's been consistent with. Is this the game for Wairarapa? Doesn't like it, does he?
Well,
it looks on it. How far is it going to come back from there, Peter? It's certainly tracking well. It's going to go by. Yes, it will. So now, sitting on 24 is the Wairarapa singles player. Just the one to go out. And I can tell you now, in the other disciplines, it's 14-11 now. 14-11, Wairarapa leading in the pairs, and in the fours, it's Wairarapa leading 11-6. Peter, is it?
It is 11-6 after 8 ends, and in the pair they've played 12 ends, I think it is. So they're 2/3 of the way through, and the fours just over halfway.
So the jack was lost by Scott McKenzie, and we'll see Ross Ellery of the Manawatu deliver the jack, and I'm sure we'll see that shorter length. We did that previous end where Ross Ellery did play the shorter length. Certainly had more consistency in the draw, but he's going towards the 2 metre mark, and it will be just lower the 2 metre mark. Well, yes, it is.
Yeah, look, sometimes players do that. They go short in one direction and long in the other, and that's just to break up the rhythm of, try and break up the rhythm of your opponent.
So here is Scott McKenzie on 24, and a long way to go, of course, in the other matches, but what a great achievement for the Wairarapa Centre if they were to get through today and be part of the semi-finals tomorrow morning. They're certainly putting the pressure on the highly favoured Manawatu side, who have been very, very well performing throughout the 2 days of section play. But as Peter said before, you get to post-section play and anything can happen. So pretty good opening bowl here from Ellery. We saw the first bowl. Not very many we've seen short bowls from Scott McKenzie, but he did with his first, leading 24-8 on the forehand now. Here's McKenzie.
He switched over onto the backhand.
Needs to be under the bowl, and he's going to get a bit of luck,
enough,
is he?
I think, yes, just enough.
Just enough to, and it's a chance of falling in that bowl of his, but it's a shot bowl, the orange bowl of Scott McKenzie's on that backhand side.
So that's forced Ross to also come that way.
$16-15 now, Auckland v Wanganui in that singles. Jamie Hill versus Bruce Winterburn. So it's all tied up. So here's the bolt. Valerie's just going to go by to the 2 metre mark. So he now is holding the shot is Scott McKenzie, leading by 24-8. McKenzie from the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa. Certainly a bit of a wider line as it then is first going to sit inside or sit on what is the shot bowl. No, just going to go by jack level, but just skip by fractionally, but holding one. So Ellery now on the backhand.
Yeah, not too many options here. He's just got to try and draw the shot to stay in the game.
Yeah, there's no second prize here. It's just you've got to get the shot. And that's under the line, Peter. That's well under. You could see very early on in the delivery that was. So he's got one bowl left. Has Ross Ellery off the matter with two as we watch McKenzie now play his last of four. Certainly on a wider line, this bowl of Scott McKenzie's. And this looks on a pretty good line, Peter, as it just goes past the jack now and sits slightly higher the jack, and that's about an 18-inch draw for Ross Ellery to save the game.
It is.
So here is now Ross Ellery of the Foxton Beach Club in the Manawatu in this quarter-final. Wairarapa versus Manawatu in the Bowls New Zealand Intercentre finals. Is it going to be lower the jack? Yes, it is, and that's the first rubber, the first game to Wairarapa, no doubt about that, by 25 shots to 8. Scott McKenzie, well, Peter, very convincing, wasn't it?
It was convincing, and quite impressed with Scott McKenzie. This is the second time I've watched him over this weekend, and he's impressed on both occasions. And from Ross's point of view, he'd be disappointed. He had too many bowls out of play, and when that happens, someone that's playing as well as what Scotty was playing, then there's only one result that's going to occur.
Absolutely.
And he'd be disappointed with that. You'd like to think when you get to these stages that there is a bit of a contest. However, right from the first end, when Scott scored a 3, he dominated. There was only on one occasion that Ross was able to put consecutive ends together, the fourth and fifth, where he got a 2 and a 1, and it was 4 3s, 3 2s and a 4, which just took the game away pretty quickly in the piece.
So, Peter, from a New Zealand selector's point of view, you come away to these events, you know who all the high performance players are that are part of the blackjack squad or development squad or whatever. But sure, these events as well must assist, because you see all of a sudden someone appears, or there's somebody that's worth having a further look at, or you want to see more of them.
The major events, obviously the New Zealand Championships, and this is up there with that, because we're actually seeing the best players from each of our centres playing, and there's little doubt that if you do well in this contest, for those who are perhaps not in the top fringe of players that we have, it gives us an opportunity to see just how well they play. You're right in saying that obviously we have squads and development squads, and then we have another group of players that we keep an eye on. But there's always one or two who put their names forward for consideration, and that's great for the sport. We need our top players to be challenged on a regular basis, and these events do that.
Well, the other thing as well, Peter, is with the Intercentre, and there's the opportunity as well for players, whoever they may be, with the up and coming North-South match, that there may present opportunities for some of these players who aren't in the blackjack squad, etc., but an opportunity to say, well, let's have a look at them in another environment and see how they, because the difficulty in a centre like Wairarapa, no disrespect to the Wairarapa, is you don't get many chances to play in the top sides, do you?
No, and that the advantage of being in a strong centre is you're getting good competition on a regular basis, and that's what's lacking in the smaller centres. And you mentioned the North-South. Philip Scoglin as convener of the selectors, along with myself, have basically a policy that we reward people for playing and doing well at the current time. So it's not as if, someone comes along and wins an event, and we'd like to recognise that, and we've done that in the past over the last couple of years.
Dean Elgar's an example of that, hasn't he?
Yes,
He's made his way into other events.
Yes, he was part of the Trans-Tasman in the development team. So we like to reward people there and then, because often you hear this, we'll see how they go again. But I think it's a good policy that for events like the North-South, current form plays a big part in our selection process, taking into account obviously the players that have been part of our Blackjack squad and our development squad as well.
So I believe in a moment we're going to go over to the Manawatu v Wairarapa fours match, which is getting down the board now. 15 ends, of course. So, of course, Wairarapa now with the advantage of one win, so they don't need the one more to make their way into the semi-finals tomorrow. I can tell you in the Auckland-Whanganui singles game, it is Whanganui, in fact, leading 18-17, and in the pairs, it is Whanganui leading 11-10. After 12 of those 18 ends. So the fours, Auckland are in front. That's the Gary Lawson skip side. They're in front. But in these other two matches, it's anybody's game, in fact. So we're just waiting for the cameras to move, and just to update you, of course, with the women, we can't actually give you updates of scores with the women, but they're playing their quarter-final out at Silverstream, and I can tell you that Dunedin up against Northland, Canterbury versus North Harbour, Bay of Plenty versus Nelson, and Wellington versus South Canterbury. And in the other two quarter-finals here at Wilton, it's the men's quarter-finals. I can tell you that Canterbury are up against Southland, Dunedin versus Wellington, Manawatu, of course, as you know, up against the Wairarapa, and Auckland playing Whanganui. And we will give you, we can give you updates of the Auckland Whanganui match because that's out in front of us, but we'll get somebody to give us a further update on the Canterbury Southland and the Dunedin Wellington match. And our last update, they were pretty close, so someone will get down to us shortly. And
Manawatu have hit the front in the pairs, 16-14. However, in the fours, it's now 14-6
to Wairarapa after 9 of 15 ends. And that's Gavin Hamlin, the 3-month bowler, the professional golfer out of the Wairarapa, leading for Gary Murawai, because Murawai formerly of North Harbour. And a good opening bowl from Gavin Hamlin, and they're up against the Manawatu side of Pat Horgan, Mark Noble, Steve Thompson, Jason Howe, and the Wairarapa side with Gavin Hamlin leading, Bill Brunberg playing at number 2, Peter Ireland at number 3, and Gary Murawai skipping. And as we said, it is the Wairarapa who are leading that by 14 shots to 6. And 15 ends to be played, of course, in that quarter-final. It's Wairarapa now just needing the one win, Peter. And
well, 14-6 is a handy lead. Manawatu are going to have to pull out something special here to get back in this. But this four has been very good. I'm not sure on their results this morning, but they were unbeaten after the first two matches, 2 days of competition in the fours.
I'll just give you an update on that Wairarapa fours. As Peter said, that they were...
That was the Manawatu four were unbeaten.
Oh, Manawatu, here we go. So, yeah, they went right through unbeaten.
Yes, so... and they've done well in other representative matches also. Obviously, they were in the same region as myself and they've been impressive. Wanganui in the
That's very
Pears
impressive.
are now 14-10 in front. And Bruce Winterburn's just scored another couple. He's on to 20. So Wanganui in the ascendancy here against Auckland. The fours match is certainly going to be Auckland's.
And Wairarapa in their fours, Peter, they dropped 2 games.
Right.
So they still had. They were in a 6-round. They won 3 games, lost 2 out of their rounds. So they're certainly putting on a good performance here. And as Peter said, the pressure right on Auckland. And if we look at that Auckland side, Peter, there's a number of a couple of current, one particular current blackjack player, and others, of course, have represented the blackjacks, and pretty good side, really.
It certainly is on paper.
Paper means nothing.
Exactly. You still got to go out there and do it. And
so here,
the Wanganui pair, for instance, I watched them play this morning, and they were down 15-7 against Canterbury and got back up and won that 2015. Gavin Scrivenger, who played for the North Island a couple of years ago, was outstanding in both games this morning. So he, along with Ian Porteous, are a good combination.
So here has just got the update from the Canterbury versus Southland match. And I can tell you that Craig Merrilies of Southland is leading Andrew Kelly by 21 shots to 10. In the pairs, it's Canterbury leading 16-13. 16-13 after 15 ends. And after 9 ends of the fours, 9 of 15, it is 10-6. 10-6 to Southland. So in the Canterbury Southland quarterfinal, we've got Southland leading in 2 of those, leading in both the singles and in the fours. And in the Wellington versus Dunedin game, well, turned around there as well, because now Seamus Curtin of Wellington is leading Mike Kernan of Dunedin by 19 shots to 18. And in the pairs, it is Wellington leading 13-11 over Dunedin, 13-11. And in the fours, it is Wellington leading after 12 ends, 14 shots to 8. And in those pairs, I said that they're leading 13-11. Wellington, 15 of the 18 ends gone. So in all 3 disciplines at present, it is Wellington leading Dunedin, but that could still change, Peter.
Yes, we've just seen Steve Toms play. Excellent shot, just trailed the jack away from Wairarapa Bowl. Just having a look to see who's got shot. But each of these ends becomes crucial now for Manawatu. Gary Murawai indicating that they still hold one.
Still hold the shot. I just saw that Gary Murawai put that finger up to indicate the shot. And just checking. So the Wairarapa skip Murawai, of course, formerly of North Harbour, and of course played in Wellington. It was overseas for a number of years as Gary Murawai. Now back. And the number 3, Peter Island, do we have the shot? Yes, we do. It was the call from Gary Murawai as they play in 10 of 15. And here's Island now. Gary Murawai watching this bowl. You can see the jack just in front of the purple bowl, just trying to get past, and gets a feather. And applause from Gary Murawai. It'd be nice if Gary Murawai moved fractionally, but anyway. 14-6, Wairarapa leading as we play in 10 of 15. As Mark Noble now.
He's just going to be on the outside of this. We can't see that. He's just going to slip past the jack. The shadow of the ball got the jack, but he just slipped by.
Of course, the bowl stayed up, so it's important here, you'd think, for the Murawai combination, the Wairarapa combination, to get past the head, and that's certainly what Gary Murawai is indicating, just to get a metre of weight in behind.
Just while all this is happening, I can tell you Bruce Winterburn just picked up a 4. Needs 1 to go out against Jamie Hill.
Big pressure on Auckland there.
There is.
Big pressure.
And Wanganui scored again in the pairs. It's now 17-10 with 4 to go.
Of course, Gavin Scrivener about 3 years ago.
Not that I'm biased sitting here,
No,
Kevin.
of course not. Gavin Scrivener, of course, was also part of the New Zealand winning foresight when he played with Dean Elgar when they defeated Mike Kernahan in Wellington in the final of the National Fours. And Wairarapa, they'd be quite happy with that. Bowler Peter Island goes by the head.
Yes, they were looking for some cover there.
Yeah.
So Mark Noble on the backhand again, trying to sit the shot bowl or just trail the jack.
It was Mark Noble, very, very accomplished player in Wellington and in the Manawatu. And of course, part of the Paras trying to get to the jack. It was a cigarette paper.
Look, he played 2 pretty good bowls and just slipped by. So it was, but you know, these ends are crucial now. Every time Wairarapa score, that it's another nail in the coffin for Manawatu.
Well, the big thing here, Gary Murawai as well, Peter. He doesn't leave a shoulder sitting out there. He's the playing the percentages. It's don't give them a shoulder on that particular hand, and that Murawai rightly going to his forehand, so as it leaves the jack sitting exposed, where you haven't got anything to work off. You're just playing down to the jack.
There's still 6 ends to go. Well, 5 ends after this end, and there's 8 the difference. So it's just over 1 shot an end. But when it starts to get 2 shots an end,
it's very difficult.
Then it's starting to become a difficult proposition to get out of it.
So Gary Murawai playing on that forehand, runs lower the jack, and Pat Horgan, very well performed player out of the Manawatu. He'll try, as Mark Noble did, to play down onto that backhand to get either sit on the shot bowl, get to the jack. Looks to be under the line.
Yes, often the case. Mark Noble was just fractionally wide, and so you just make sure you don't try and get on that line, and you just cut them underneath it a fraction. And I suppose it's that line with a bit more weight will hold you to it.
That Wanganui Piers result now, Peter, over Auckland is now Wanganui leading 17-10 after 14 of the 18 ends. And as you rightly say, it is Bruce Winterburn just needs the 1 shot to go out.
Yeah, Jamie Hill on 17, so it's 24-17.
So here's Gary Murawai trying to rest into the back of the head, and he's done just that. Gets applause from Peter Island and Mark Noble, indicating to Pat Horgan, play right down here, give yourself a chance with weight. The danger is don't get too far on the wide side because you'll just stay out there. So here's Horgan now on the backhand.
Oh, this is a crucial shot here.
Certainly, he's on a wider line. His first is going to get to the jack or the shot bowl. Gets a shot bowl, make shot of that.
Oh, great shot.
Magnificent bowl from Pat Horgan, sat on the bowl. And it's Manawatu, very, very much needed to score. So remembering, we'll be back here 8:30 tomorrow morning, where we'll have all the semi-final action. We'll have semi-final action in both the women and the men's semi-finals here of the National Intercentre, the Bowls New Zealand National Intercentre. It's our privilege, of course, to bring this to you on Sky Sport Next. And of course, if you just go to the Bowls New Zealand website, the link is just there. You go to the link and it will take you directly to the live action as we see now. Jason Hoare, the lead for the Manawatu side. Just wait for that board to be changed. Should be like 14-7. He's dipped badly under the line. Kevin Hamlin now. And this is when, Peter, from your lead, you certainly, this is when you need that good start, don't you? You need those effective bowls. So here is Hamlin. Very smooth delivery on the forehand. or early applause from Gary Murawai. It now breaks towards the head. It's got a fraction of weight on. Gary Murawai trying to get it to slow down. I've never yet seen it
like
work.
It's gone in.
So now it's the opportunity for Jason Hoare to put the pressure on. Needs to get Manawatu need to be scoring consistently now. 14, that's 14-7. Better bowl here from Jason Hoare. Going to come right down towards the jack. Well played by the Manawatu lead. Draws the toucher. Sits right alongside it. Gary Murawai indicating to Gavin Hamlin, just follow that bowl. So here is Hamlin. How far is this going to run by? Is this going to go to the ditch as well? And it will. Gary Murawai is over, picks it up. So Manawatu playing on this 10th end, 14-7, playing the 11th end.
You could say Gavin's gone in the bunker.
He's gone. He's into the sand. He's into the sand, but he hasn't got a club to get out. So Steve Toms now. Manawatu can put the pressure early. This head. What's this bowl? Breaking in towards the head. And this is a very good bowl as well from Steve Toms. And Gary Murawai will be wanting Bill Brunenberg to get him a bowl close, that's for sure. No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like, is this an early call for the attack the jack to the ditch, Peter?
Well, the problem is they need to get something on the green, but it's there available for them, and you know, sometimes it pays to go early.
Play it while it's there.
Yes.
And here it's coming on. Looks to be on target to get one anyway, and got one of the two counters. Well, they're still actually two down because the very front bowl of the Manawatu side also counts. 24-18 now. Bruce Winterburn over Jamie Hill. In the pairs, it is Wanganui leading 18-10 after 15 ends. So those are the two games that are going to make the two crunch games in that Wanganui Auckland game. So is that Winterburn holding the win, Peter? You can see out in front of you there.
I think that may be Jamie Hill who's got the shot. The bowls are very similar.
They are very similar bowls, aren't they? So here now is Bill Brunenberg playing his second bowl after endeavouring to try to get the jack into the ditch.
Yes, they need to get something reasonably handy, and he's not been able to do that.
So that's 3 shots, 2. The Manawatu at this point, although one of them is a long way away. As Mark Noble now will play his first. 14-7, Wairapa leading, and Noble was going to be under the head, but of course will count a long way away.
Basically, you've got to make sure those third and fourth shots that are a long way away, you cut those out.
You're going to get to second or third shot is your best option here, Peter, really, from your number 3, Peter Island, and then see what you can do from there. So he's
attacking.
He's playing down on that. That's going to go well wide, and in fact ran into a Mark Noble bowl, pushes that right into. Now this is a crunch end now, Peter.
Well, it's building, isn't it, for Manawatu? And you know, that was sort of an in-between pace, you know, which is difficult on these greens, I think, from observations. You're far better to be going quicker.
It's a quick shot, isn't it?
It is. Or you're trying to draw it. You're trying to draw to cut something down. And
so I just heard Gary Murawai say, well, you don't want to draw it. Well, here
it is. 5 down.
Peter Island, as Peter just said, he's 5 down. And I'm not sure what this weight we'll see in a moment, but this is definitely going to go under the line. I can assure you it is. is this the end that changes this whole game, Peter?
It could very well be.
Definitely 5 shots to Manawatu when the skips change over.
Well, he had perfect pace and almost out of bounds. But, and that's what you want from your third, that when you're down, that he alters something, draws third shot, which could be reasonable. Certainly cut those front 2 balls out. Look, gives your skipper a chance.
Peter, it's pretty simple, really, isn't it? 11 ends, playing 11 ends now. Third shot leading 14-7. Third shot is definitely the go for Gary Murawai, because this could just slip away literally in one end.
Well, the thing about it is you've got to make sure the opposition earn their shots, and if they have a couple within, like the first and second shots are, you can say, yep, that's fine. But those bowls that are well away, you don't want them to be counting, and that's one that's going to count.
Well away, but it's 2 metres away, and it's going to count. So Gary Murawai now.
They were just checking.
They're checking the outside peg to see whether
Peter Ireland's second bowl, and it was out. So he went out of bounds narrow on the draw.
So Gary Murawai now under all sorts of pressure, leading 14-7. And 6 down on the head, standing on the mat. And I know Peter will agree with me. Sometimes you can look at these things for too long and get twixt in between what shot you're going to play.
Well, I think he's got to try and draw here with his first on the forehand. That's where all the shots have been scored on that forehand from Manawatu.
Well, third shot would be a reasonable outcome, Peter, wouldn't it? Really
would be.
And this is going to be well under the line as well. And
I think he's going to cut some out, though.
Cut. Perhaps 2 out.
Yes, I think he's cut 2 out. Still maybe 4 down.
So now Horgan is a big end for both sides. Is definitely out on the wider side here is Pat Horgan, but if he comes back to the centre line, and he will, Mark Noble applauding it, that indicates that counts and would. So the big thing here for Gary Murawai is the 2 brown bowls out. They're really your draw targets, really, Peter, aren't they? Because you could, if you're inside one of those, you've got third shot. If you're inside the other one, you could get second shot. But so anything outside that, you're more than 3 down.
That's right. This is crucial, this one.
So here is Murawai. He's got better width with this bowl. Here's the weight. He's quick. He's quick. Count up.
Yes, well. So from the Manawatu ladies on the sideline. Oh, this is painful for my rapper when you have to. 3 have come out and starting to look a long way away for the others.
But it really
4 come out.
It really came about, Peter, of how you played the head, and they just played too many ineffective bowls, really, to put any pressure on the draw. And I just see Mark Noble indicating there. Mark Noble just indicating to us that it is 5. It's the indication that's given, and if it is, we go from 14-7 to 14-12 at least.
Well, and Jamie Hill has got back to 22. In the Piers, Ian Porteous, the Wanganui skip, has had a drive and has got lucky, come off a bowl and put the jack in the ditch. So,
of course, in this Piers now, it is Manawatu leading 18-16 over Wairarapa.
Yes, it is.
After 16 of the 18 ends. So that last end, Peter, could be the decider.
It could be. Certainly Manawatu can 2 in front and 2 behind. So those are both anyone's games.
They certainly are.
It looks like Wanganui are going to win the Piers against Auckland. That's 19-10 with 2 ends to go. They're going to win the 4s Auckland, 17-8. But Jamie Hill only requires 3 Well, Bruce Winterburn requires 1, so it can very much come down to this singles match to determine who goes through to the semi-finals.
So
it's happening all over the green.
There's action everywhere, really, here. And as Peter rightly said, the Jamie Hill match and Bruce Winterburn, their bowls are very, very similar, but I can tell you that Jamie Hill is holding 2 shots. And so Jamie Hill, this is the old story, isn't it? Peter now looking, he hasn't played his bowl, so knowing the pairs are gone, the 4s looks to be in Auckland's favour, and it's all going to come down to the singles match between Jamie Hill and Bruce Winterburn. And it's Jamie Hill holding 2.
And that's going to be good enough for 3.
3, and it is 3, and that's game. Is that correct, Peter?
Game, yes. And
Bruce Winterburn, what's 1?
Well, you can't see the pictures. There's no target for Bruce Winter. Those 3 bowls are almost in a line.
Bruce Winterburn trying to draw the shot here. We'll get back to that 4s game in but a moment. This bowler, Winterburn's, goes just in front, right in front of us here, just goes by, Peter. There's all sorts of...
Brian Little has just played a shot in the pairs. I don't know how many they got, but there was some excitement from the Manawatu players. And that.
You can see Jamie Hill and Gary Lawson now having a big conversation down there. Well, I'm sure if you were playing this now, Peter, you'd be saying, I've got 3, I've got the game, you play the shot, Bruce.
Well, I think he's got to be careful. He doesn't give something for Bruce.
He doesn't want to
off.
give him a shoulder, does
That's
he?
Correct.
Anything to rub on.
Down to have a look at it.
So logically, you leave it as it sits. So we go back to the 4th match.
Well, the first 3 bowls from the Manawatu side have been ordinary.
They have, and of course Wairarapa leading 14-12 after 11 of those 15 ends. Remembering, of course, Wairarapa have already won the singles. Scott McKenzie defeated Ross Ellery. And in the pairs, it's Manawatu that are in front by 19-16.
And Wairarapa's probably drawn another shot, probably a metre short, but it probably counts. It's the old story, Kevin, isn't it? When you score a number, it's never really on the card until what happens in the next end.
Absolutely.
And so often we see teams get a number and then drop a number straight afterwards.
Sometimes you only get a loan of the shots for a while, Peter.
Yes.
they don't always go net into the bank, do they?
No, and Steve Toms is a little quick here too, so he's gone through.
Yeah, this, of course, end 12 of 15. It's the Murawai side leading Wairarapa side of Gary Murawai skipping with Peter Ireland, Bill Brunenberg and Gavin Hamlin. They are leading the Manawatu side of Jason Hall, Steve Toms, Mark Noble and Pat Horgan. Yes, here's Bruce Winterburn playing his last bowl.
Yes.
On this particular head.
And I think he looks a little high to me. He's too quick. Auckland have got out of that 24-17. Jamie Hill was down.
Great comeback from Jamie Hill,
yes.
Wasn't it, really? And that puts really Auckland in the gun.
It is 9 up with 2 ends to go in the 4s. So Mark Noble just dropping underneath them.
So it'll be 2 shots to the Wairarapa side. Gary Murawai saying to Peter Ireland, just draw to my foot. Here's now Ireland on the backhand. They're certainly playing this head better than the last, where they got themselves into all sorts of difficulty. Yeah, bowler Peter Ireland's will more than likely go all the way to the ditch. It does. I just see it roll in. So now Mark Noble's been indicated. So Pat Horgan saying to Mark Noble, play down here, get the jack is fine. As coming down this end before, we saw Manawatu do that exactly. So I see Gary Lawson over, giving Jamie Hill a pat on the back. 24-17 down and got up and won. I
25 to 24. Noble's off target through the port.
Oh, he gets through the
Got
gap.
nothing. I was surprised he played with that weight though, Peter.
Well, I think that was trying to get the 2 shot bowls out. Looked to be a few more gaps on the backhand rather than the forehand.
Absolutely.
The forehand looked to be less gaps, but...
So Wairarapa definitely holding. So Peter Island, can he add to the count? Leading 14-12 is Wairarapa.
And in the peers, it's 19-16 playing the last, and the to Manawatu in the peers.
Good chance it's going to come out of this fours game, Peter.
It looks like it's Manawatu holding, I think, on that end.
So here's this bowl of Peter Islands coming down lower the head. Sits in,
that's 3.
That's 3, I would say. And, you know, really Pat Horgan now has got to play with reaching the weight, reaching through those bowls. And just quickly, the last update we had in the Canterbury v Southland quarter-final up on the top green here, the last update that we had, Southland were leading Canterbury 21 to 10 in the singles. In the pairs, it was Canterbury leading Southland 16 shots to 13. And in the fours, it was Southland leading Canterbury by 10 shots to 6. In the other quarter-final, Wellington versus Dunedin, it was Seamus Curtin of Wellington who was leading Mike Kernan 19 shots to 18. In the pairs, it was Wellington leading 13 shots to 11. And in the fours, after 12 ends, it was Wellington leading by 14 shots to 8.
Ed Horgan on the drive. He's got rid of 2.
2 of them. So Gary Murawai has got a metre really, Peter, hasn't he, on that backhand to draw. And the important thing really for Murawai is to draw a counter, but ideally jack high, not jack level or jack low. So here is Murawai on the backhand, and it's coming well, and it is, but needs to make sure he gets past the jack, and he does. And that will count. So Horgan definitely down on the head, on the backhand, as we play in 12 of 15. And my thanks to Peter Bellis for being with us here this afternoon. And of course to Tamara and Erin, who do all the work, putting all this together. How's the weight, the line of this bowl of...
He's short.
He's short, yeah. So, just what we spoke about before, Peter, the last game, which was disastrous, could in fact be only a 2-shot result out of it.
It could be, yes.
And that's what makes the big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately for Manawatu, the front 2 weren't able to get close, and so Wairarapa have controlled this end. Pat did well to get rid of a couple of the counters, otherwise it could have been 5
Here's Murawai
back.
going past, and how much weight he had on the way through.
Well, he sat on his own bowl, whether that's so it's 1 in or maybe 1 out.
That's 2.
That just indicates 2.
Yeah, it is 2. That was the call from Mark Noble. So that's another end gone, and it takes the Wairarapa side now to a 16-12 lead. And as Peter just pointed out a moment ago, it's Manawatu, as we play the last end in the pairs. It's Manawatu who are leading by 19 shots to 16. I can tell you in the Auckland match, Auckland v Wanganui, we saw Jamie Hill come from behind in the singles against Bruce Winterburn, trailing 24-17. And Jamie Hill holding on, tenaciously drawing his way through to 25 and winning 25-24. And in the pairs, I just see them packing their bowls up, and after 17 ends it was Wanganui leading 19 shots to 10. And in the fours, I can tell you it is Auckland leading 17-9. 17-9, so Auckland leading in the fours.
I don't think that's going to happen against Gary Lawson.
No, So back to the Kevin Hamlin. He's gone through the head by a good couple of metres, and here's the chance now for Jason Hall, the lead for the Manawatu side. because they're really got to start putting pressure on Peter, don't they? Right at the effective bowls right from the start.
It is, and they've shaken hands in the pairs with Manawatu. I'm not sure what happened on the last end, but they did score again, so it's 19-16 plus whatever happened on the last end. So it comes down to this fours match.
Peter, we both know, and no disrespect to these players out here, but this is where so often the pressure, it just makes that much difference, doesn't it?
All of a sudden the game becomes difficult.
It
for some
becomes
unknown reason.
very, very difficult. Earlier on you're drawing within centimetres and everything is fine and dandy, and all of a sudden things can change, and that's where the pressure, the experience makes such a big difference. And Jason Hoare wasn't able with his first bowl to put the pressure onto the Wairarapa side. Gavin Hamlin drew Jack Level. He's about a metre sitting Jack Level. There's a better bowl here though from Jason Hoare. How's the weight though as it comes up towards the head? It's going to be lower than Jack, but more than likely shot. And plenty of room really for Bill Brunenberg to draw the shot, and Wairarapa leading by 16-12 as we play in 13 of 15. So here's Brunenberg. This looks on a fairly good line. How far is it going to run by? Gary Murawai trying to get to slow down, and that's the shot itself. Sits right Jack Level.
Yes, the Manawatu bowl fell backwards too as that was coming. The opposition bowl was coming down. So 1 to Wairarapa.
And this, as Peter rightly said before, the Manawatu foresight went right through the round robin unbeaten. And this is a great effort from the Wairarapa side to really put the pressure onto the well-performed Manawatu side. And we certainly saw a great exhibition. What a great start from Scott McKenzie, the singles player for the Wairarapa. He defeated Ross Ellery by 25 shots to 6. And he was outstanding, Peter, really, wasn't he, right throughout the whole game?
Very consistent performance. Never let Ross into the game, and a thoroughly deserved victory. And just score the 25 shots and only 16 ends.
Pretty good effort. There's a good bowl here from number 2 for Wairarapa. Burenberg just drew around the front bowl, draws in behind the jack. And definitely Wairarapa holding 2 shots, and that front bowl of the Manawatu side, Steve Tom's bowl, might cause them a bit of difficulty actually to get to the result they want.
Well, both the bowls on both the forehand and backhand sides are Manawatu bowls, so there's an opportunity to turn those in or just slip past. Sometimes when you play weight to turn them in and you're just a fraction wide, you end up where
that's
that
right.
bowl has. But it's a handy
it's
bowl.
It's certainly
there.
not in a bad spot there, but it does have the tendency, if you did, to have that extra metre of weight. So
it causes a problem here for Wairarapa.
So Peter,
drew the shot around that. He basically just trying to dare draw. You're just trying to beat either of those 2 bowls. So pace becomes a bit more important. You don't want to give the shot away.
But also, Peter, I'm sure in international we know how important it is about your head management. And if we look at the scoreboard at 16-12, you're holding 2. The 2 counters on either side of the head. There's not a danger of dropping a bundle or a number. So you think, you're thinking, well, what's the scoring opportunity for the Manawatu side? How many can they score? And it's like a game of chess, trying to negate their scoring opportunities, and another end goes by.
Yep. Mark Noble down on the backhand. He's going to sit on some bowls.
And get shot, got the inside of it, and will certainly make one shot of it. And Gary Murawai rightly indicating to Peter Island to just play under the bowl and endeavouring to just sit the shot bowl. The Mark Noble got a bit of a feather, and I can tell you that the Auckland Fours against Wanganui, they've shaken hands, and there's the Gary Lawson skip side who has defeated Ray Park, and that puts, we've got our first semi-finalist, because that puts Auckland through to the semi-final after the Jamie Hill defeated Bruce Winterburn 25-24, trying to get to the shot bowl. Might be lucky here. It rolled around and around, got the front bowl to that bowler Peter Islands.
Yes, he followed through and touched the shot bowl.
And here's the update that we're looking for from the top green of the other quarterfinals, and I can tell you now, in the Wellington versus Dunedin quarterfinal, we'll go to that first, and it is Seamus Curtin leading Mike Kernan and Dunedin 24 shots to 22. 24-22. It's finished, the Seamus Curtin game. And I can tell you that Seamus Curtin has defeated Mike Kernahan, so that gives Wellington their first win. And I can all finish now. I can tell you Wellington are also through to the semi-final. In the pairs, it was Wellington who won 16 shots to 12, and in the fours, it was also 16 shots to 12. So that puts Wellington through to the semi-final tomorrow morning. In the Southland versus Canterbury game, I can tell you that Southland in the singles are leading 22-12. That's Craig Merrilies over Andrew Kelly. In the pairs, Canterbury in front 17-15, and in the fours it is Southland 15-7. We could be heading to an upset there, Peter, as well.
Could be.
So I can tell you now, with Auckland winning their way through, that for tomorrow's in the semi-final, I've got them here somewhere. So Dunedin are through, of course, and they'll play the winner of the Canterbury Southland game. Auckland are through after beating Wanganui, and they will play the winner of the Manawatu Wairarapa match. As we look, Peter Islands, hands on hips, and just indicating to Gary Murawai, you haven't got weight, one down on the head. And leading 16-12 is the Wairarapa as we play in 13 of 15. And thank you for those people bringing us the scores of those matches. So good win by Seamus Curtin, Peter.
Yes, well, you know, they obviously stopped before when the other two results came in. So at 24-22,
it's not really a result, is it?
Well, he was in front when they finished.
He was in front when the game, correct. That's two. Pat Horgan just drew round the front bowl of.
Yeah, just looking at it,
it's plenty of applause for the Manawatu people.
Yes, well, it was another bowl in, and whether it counts or not, I'm not sure, and they haven't indicated that Peter Island has indicated to play a bit of weight.
Yeah, well, you can play with weight through there, may get the two bowls, or the Jack Murawai certainly going to play with weight. And leading 16-12 for the Wairarapa, of course, the winner of this game.
Oh, he's certainly not short. He's on the drive.
Going with a full-blooded drive, trying to get the two of them. Or get no, I'd say definitely two down now.
Yes,
he's got two. Is Mark Noble's call? Oh, it was one of those drives, really, Peter, that even if you hit the target, I don't think you know what the final result was going to be, because there's every chance that bowls were still going to move around the head.
There was, and there was he was on the tight side because he was a little wary. If he was a fraction wide, he would have got both his bowls as well. While it may not have counted anymore, it certainly would have given Pat a lot more room.
Morgan, another shot here, draws alongside the Jack. And now we're really into 16-15 now after 13 of 15 ends. So here the Manawatu supporters alongside, just outside our broadcasting position. Jason Hoare, he'll deliver the Jack for the Manawatu side, the Pat Horgan skip side. So just to confirm to you, Auckland have defeated Wanganui in one quarter final, and Wellington have defeated Dunedin. And the Wairarapa Manawatu game, we await the outcome of that, of course, right out in front of us here. And in the other one, Canterbury versus Southland, and we await the result from that quarter final. And in the women at Silverstream, we've got Dunedin v Northland, Canterbury up against North Harbour, Bay of Plenty playing Nelson, and Wellington South Canterbury. So as we come now to the 14-10 of 15, and the bowler Jason Hawes is going to be about a metre lower than Jack. Gary Murawai asking his lead. Gavin Hamlin, remembering only been playing for a few months, a professional golfer, on the backhand, asking for a metre of weight to get past the Jason Hall bowl. How far is it going to come back? Certainly got it out on a big arc. Gary Murawai encouraging this bowl. Look at it, breaks towards the jack. Good opening bowl, Peter.
Certainly what they want.
Finishing literally jack level. Jason Horn out.
Well, every bowl becomes important now.
Every bowl's got to be effective, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's 16-15 as we play in 14 of 15. Trying hard to get back. Is this bowl just going to finish literally jack level, slightly jack low? So Gavin Hamlin now, never to draw to, what is his counting bowl on the backhand? It's the winner of this Wairarapa Manawatu 2-4s game will go through to the quarterfinals or semi-final tomorrow morning and play Auckland after Auckland really defeated Wanganui by one shot. Really?
Yes, basically that was it. Look, Bruce would have been be disappointed that 24-17 he couldn't close that match out. But like the quality of Jamie Hill, current national champion.
Well, the other thing about, as we know about Jamie, Peter, is that he's you wouldn't, looking at him on the green, you wouldn't know whether he's 10 up or 10 behind you or square. So his attitude really never really changes, does it?
No, it doesn't. That's one of the great attributes with Jamie, his laid-back manner. And that's what we try and, look at our players and say, and from that we see that players under pressure, you can noticeably see them under pressure, and Jamie Hill you don't. And
no, he never really reacts to pressure, does he? As we see this bowler Bill Brunenberg draw through the jack, in fact push the Gavin Hamlin bowl in behind the jack, and the Wairarapa side, they won't be too unhappy about that because they're certainly holding the shot. But there's literally a metre for Steve Toms on the forehand to draw the shot. Manawatu, number 2 with it, 16-15. Looks on a fairly good line. How's the weight? Hasn't got the weight to get there. And certainly wind is not actually something that's going to affect the bowls. Here's Will Brunenberg, who I'm pretty sure a couple of years ago at Nine played with the Stokes Valley combination in the 4s, and it needs to get past his own, doesn't do so. I think they got beaten in the quarterfinals. 3 light, you heard the call there from Pat Horgan. It's really about just getting a bowl close, Peter, isn't it? Let's not worry whether it's a shot or second shot, but let's get a bowl close by, which is going to allow us to not having to try and scrap our way out of the head.
No.
And Mark Noble, to be fair, the last few ends has had to. There's been a lot of pressure on Mark Noble and Pat Horgan at various times as we watch this bowler Noble's breaking down towards the head, not going to be short.
And slips through
with a yard of weight. And Gary Murawai saying to now Peter Island, just hold your line.
And that's the key here, because they don't want to turn that maroon bowl in the front. As we look at it there, that's the bowl that they've got to keep off. Which, as long as you take your line,
correct,
and
Peter.
it looks as if he's pretty well played this.
Needs to get just inside.
Yes, well played. They might be looking to attack this, I think.
Well, we know Mark Noble is quite capable and certainly not reluctant to attack, and whether it's just a beer jack or whatever, or a reduction shot, he certainly...
Yeah, look, I think that given, he's going to... That's what they've...
Absolutely. There's a 3-bowl line
see
down
whether
there.
they can play some pace down there. If you get a bowl solid and follow through, you get shot. You could get a couple of them out.
There's a good chance to say, Peter, you play down there with that weight right through there, that your bowl, if you make connection with those two, you could spill those two out of the head, and your bowl, in fact, could
stay there,
get through to the jack.
Pat's indicating the draw there, that he wasn't far away. Interesting here, you look at the strengths of the players.
Well, I know if Mark Noble, I know what shot I'd be getting Mark Noble to play.
He's a shot player, so
yeah.
The last thing he wants to do here is try and draw it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mark Noble's that's the shot he's looking at. You can see that there now clearly, Peter, isn't he? That's a shot. And I'm not saying for one moment that Mark Noble's not a draw player. Of course he is. But if you're looking at percentage shots and conversion shots,
using the 10 goes at trying to draw it to 10 goes of having to run down there, you might be drawing it, if you're good, 2 or 3 times. On the run, you're 6 or 7 times.
Well, the other thing is, even if he doesn't get the ultimate result, one, he's going to get reduction, and he's going to open the head up further for Pat Horgan to be able to have a metre to draw down through there. So,
and that's what number thirds have got to do. They've got to improve the situation for the skipper.
So here's Noble now on the mat. He's certainly going to play, as we said, with weight, trying to get down to, got 1, got 2, and that's a good result, Peter.
Yes, certainly is.
That's a very, very good result. Still down on the head, but really it's leaving a metre now to draw the shot, isn't it?
Well, they indicated they were 3 down, so that they should only be 1 down. Those bowls all look equidistant away.
They do. The yellow bowl, the bowl at the back and the bowl out the side. And, Peter Island now, he's got the opportunity to use that metre, and that's providing they draw out to bowl out on the side of the head here, they can they'll get a swing back towards the centre line.
He's just got to play exactly the same as he did with his last.
Well, he wasn't far away, was he? He's in the zone.
He turned the yellow bowl up. He does the same. He draws the shot. So,
as you said earlier on, we saw Auckland narrowly defeat Wanganui in the quarter-final, and we have seen Wellington defeat Dunedin in one of the quarter-finals up on the top green. The game between Canterbury and Southland is still in progress, as is the game between Manawatu and the Wairarapa, with the scores being locked up at 1-1 after Wairarapa won the singles by 25-8, and Manawatu winning the pairs by, I think, 19-16. Now Peter Island.
Well, interesting, Kevin. He's played the forehand here. He's looking to trail the jack. That's
to the tee
they talked about.
Well, he's going to get to the jack, is he not? Sits alongside it.
Well, he got a slide off that
bowl.
It's way out at 10 o'clock. That's where he came off. He got a little pice of the jack, but if he had trailed it a bit further, he would have brought all those into account.
Well, the good thing really about that bowl is it does make it difficult for Pat Horgan to play down under there to try and get to the shot bowl. And as you say, there's still a chance for the Garamurawa skip side to get a touch. You can see the bowl behind there. That's the bowl of Gavin Hamlin's.
So indication from Mark Noble, he wants him to play the forehand, basically trying to sit on something. Yeah. These are not easy shots.
No, they're not. The game of centimetres here. You could run into something and you can just narrowly miss. So here's Horgan now back to the mat on this, the 14th of 15 ends of this quarter-final of the Bowls New Zealand National Intercentre. Our pleasure to bring this to you on Sky Sport Next. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30 at semi-final stage. So here's Horgan The indication is he's going to have 2 goes. So here's Hogan on the forehand. Very well performed player out of the Manawatu is Pat Hogan.
Well, there's no reaction at the other end. Now they're starting to get it move a little bit. He looks to be on the high side. He's going to catch that.
Bowl.
Yes.
But that was a metre out. And Muriwai, one would think, he's certainly, now that Pat Horgan's literally showed his hand by playing that forehand, that you're not going to play the forehand to give a lean or a shoulder out on that hand. Muriwai, as we thought, staying.
He's making sure that he keeps off the bowl that's almost.
Oh, this is on a good line. This bowl, Peter, if he's got the weight to get all the way through, being pulled on by Peter Ireland. My goodness, he was only a roll away from. So this is what we were talking about before, Peter, as well, as far as the head management's concerned. It's now literally a one-shot head for Pat Horgan, isn't it?
Yes, and certainly that bowl out there at 10 o'clock is close to the line you want to be. I'm pleased it's not me out there having to try and play this.
Well, just looking at the line on the monitor there, Peter, you know very, very well that if you nip your green fractionally, you're definitely going to be under the shot bowl, aren't you? Right?
Exactly.
So the natural draw line is right where that bowl is actually sitting. If you're one bowl outside it, the likelihood is you're going to stay outside it.
Yeah. So the degree of difficulty here is high, and especially the scores won the diff one end after this.
Because what he doesn't want to do, of course, is play narrow and get the back of the jack on the way through there, because there's two wide upper bowls sitting there in the catching pen just waiting. And one would imagine he's got to be slightly on the narrow line to be able to get the result to sit on the shot bowl.
Yeah.
Not an easy shot at all for Pat Horgan, the Manawatu skip. Talking to Mark Noble still at the other end. He doesn't like it, Peter. He doesn't like it at all. Shake of the head. He knows he's got to. So here's Horgan now on the forehand. One end remaining after this. Here it is on the forehand.
Yeah, see, I almost think he's got to be playing for their short bowl. You want to be close to that.
And he's going to be under it. Now, he doesn't want the back of the jack. He's close to getting the shot. And he made shot of it. That's that. No, second shot, because got one.
Yes, he must have been 2, possibly 3 down.
So, got one. It's 17-15. And
he's got to play exactly the same. He was just out of the count.
He was only one roll, wasn't he, for making it count? Is he looking to try and touch that jack, Peter?
Well, he could be.
Is he looking at that? Because it's 3 shots, but very hard shot to play.
Well, you don't want to give the shot away here.
No, you don't.
That's the key.
Gary Muriwai thinking that I would say on the better percentage side, playing through there. A lot of talk going on here. Remembering, of course, that Manawatu have won the pairs v Wairarapa in this quarter-final, and Wairarapa have already won the singles. So all locked up, one apiece. And no time limit, of course, in these quarter-final matches.
Well, plenty of discussion here, and I don't know if Peter Ireland looks like he's wanting him to play.
He wants
down
that
the
shot
forehand to move the jack, but
well, you pay. Really, it's what you feel comfortable. I don't know whether Gary Muriwai.
He's going forehand.
Because he was convinced that he wanted to play, didn't he? But here's now Murawai on the forehand, trying to, as Peter Island asked, get to the jack or get a touch on the jack. That looks on the wide side. Coming, it's got to get through cleanly through this bowl. Not going to do so. Always a hard shot though, Peter, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, I think that he played a pretty good one. He just needed a couple of 2/3 of a metre on his first one. But 2 up playing the last, that's handy.
So I'll ask you the question now then. So if it's a draw,
they play an extra end.
Oh, they do.
Not that I had just got that off the top of my head, Kevin. I actually looked at the conditions of play 15 minutes ago to see whether it was a draw or not. And the teams, the discipline that has the draw, they play the extra end. Because there has been times in the past when they all go out and play.
Correct.
An extra end.
Correct.
That's not good. Too good for the singles players. We celebrated for the last hour and a half.
Correct. So you come to the 15th end, and it is Wairarapa is their lead. Gavin Hamlin now leading 17 shots to 15. The young professional golfer got the bowl out. Not good coming back towards the 2 metre mark. There's a good nice opening bowl, Peter. It's a good start.
Yes, you'll take that any day.
Absolutely. Jason Horn out, knowing he's got a draw inside, because these are the guys that have got to make the head count, make the head work to give the start. And that too is just question whether it's out a bowl wider than the Gavin Hamlin bowl. And it's going to go in behind, but it's still a good opening bowl from the Manawa 2 lead.
They're in play, and that's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
You've got to have bowls in play.
And should Wairarapa win this game, this would be a semi-final, the National Intercentre, Peter. That's, I can never remember. No disrespect to Wairarapa, but I can't remember.
No, I think you're correct. And without having a look at past records, I don't recall them ever qualifying.
I can't.
I haven't attended, as you know. I was overseas for a number of years, but certainly in my time when I was playing, they.
I can never remember. You go back a long time. Frank Sigveston of Ekadahuna.
Right. Yes.
Morris Penfold. So, can Jason Hall get all the way? No, he doesn't. Short of the. So it is this Wairarapa holding the shot, remembering that Manawa 2 trailing by 2 shots, and as Peter said, should Manawa 2 score 2, it goes to an extra end. So here is Bill Brunenberg, the number 2 for the Gary Murawai skip Wairarapa side. This is on a pretty good line. This bowl, as it breaks in towards the head, how's the weight going to sit literally jack level? Is it just going to sit jack low off the centre line? It's a pretty good bowl, Peter.
It certainly is. And we talk about you've got to make sure the opposition earn their shots, and you get them within 1/3 of a metre. If opposition can put 2 or 3 inside them, well, so be it.
Except for the end where we saw Wairarapa drop that 5, we have seen the front of the Wairarapa side in turn put the pressure on the back end of the Manawa 2 side, because they have been holding the shots at the changeover. And so there's been a lot of pressure on Mark Noble, and this here's been played right out in front of us here in the shadows. And I'm looking at that shot bowl of Bill Brunenberg's, and it's only about 18-20 inches lower than Jack, so it's in a pretty good position. As we see this bowl of Brunenberg's, which will come in behind the head and sit alongside the last Steve Tom's bowl.
And the problem that Manawa 2 have is the 2 short bowls actually cover up the shot bowl, and the other 2 bowls from Manawa 2 are on the other side of the head, so you can't trail it towards them.
And it's So it's a one-hand hit, isn't it?
Yeah, and unless you have a slice of the jack, so that makes it more difficult for Manawatu. So from their point of view, Steve Toms needs to draw the shot here.
And he had a good line.
And look, they've ended up with another bowl there.
Yeah, that meter.
Those three are all.
Yeah, the objective here for Peter Ireland, he can literally cover or cut off any trail if he sits in on that forehand, sits in behind the head, makes it that much harder for the Manawatu side. Peter Ireland, the number 3 for the Garamurawai skipped Wairarapa side. On the forehand is Ireland, and it's on a good line to the draw line, Peter, and if it sits in,
He's well played.
He's well played here. Doesn't want to give a target though to Noble. I can tell you that right now. A front toucher. Well, I must say, I did see in the final of the National Fours the other day in Weekend Central Otago, I saw a front toucher drawn on the last end of Mike Kernahan's side, and it got outdrawn.
It did, yes.
So it can happen.
It just looks if they get onto that, it's going to clear the bowl directly behind the jack, so it'll probably stay in bounds.
Yeah, because of course if you don't play what I'd call a bit of fairy weight, that shot bowl, that toucher bowl is going to go just follow through with the jack. Noble will be on the drive. He's on the drive. Is Noble trying to kill? Goes wide, gets nothing. Well,
it's got a touch.
But that's made it. I know it sounds strange. That does make it a wee bit harder because it's a different attack now to the head, and now that Peter Ireland, where does he go to now, Peter?
Well, they've got first and third, it appears.
And that's the shot I agree with Bill Brunenberg saying draw to where those Manawatu bowls. It's a Steve Toms bowl sitting there. But at the moment, it's Wairarapa who are holding the shot, and of course leading 17-15 as we play this last end. As we saw Peter Ireland draw a toucher with his first bowl. This is the 15th end.
Actually played against Peter Ireland and Garamurawai last week in an over 60s
the Masters
representative match. And
this could be fateful, Peter.
Well, he's
Gary Murawai, you can see straight away.
Target. Yeah, he's fat in the
he's
target.
Fat in the target. You know exactly what's going to happen here with Mark Noble. If he was a bowl wide, a bowl further over, he would have literally removed
so there's a good
that
chance
target.
of getting both those.
Oh, absolutely.
I can say that it was in the fours, and I had Keith Slight in my side, and we actually got beaten by the team skipped by Gary Murawai. 15 end game, we got beaten 9-7.
Can't get much tighter than that, can you?
And they played some outstanding bowls, so they were in good touch coming in. I can't really say that we tuned them up for this. That would be a step too far. But Noble on the drive.
On the drives, Noble trying to get to the jack, and he got the front bowl. That's the last thing he wanted, and no jack movement. So, well, it's a drawing game, Peter.
Well, he's got to manufacture two somewhere.
And there's only two are on the, as we used to right earlier on the head, are on the other side of the head.
Yes, so as we look at the picture, there's three bowls to the left at about 8 o'clock and the short one. So somehow those are going to get into play, either that or Pat Horgan draws two shots himself.
So Murawai has got to really stay away from the head, and as Peter Ireland is rightly indicating to Gary Murawai, just stay a bit in on that wide side, and you can cover that shot options or make it far more difficult on that side.
Well, he's going to be short, whether he gets in the way, because obviously the kill is an option for them as well.
And it was well short because they're playing right up in front of us here, and Horgan standing there looking. And is he going to attack Peter?
Yes,
I think
he
so.
is.
Green
he's
bowl
got to come
or
between
the jack?
those two bowls, the two short bowls. If he's in there, he's got a chance of getting the chop bowl out, which then creates that one.
Absolutely,
he can sit that out and make a 3.
It does create that opportunity. So here's Pat Horgan, the man with 2 skip.
So I think, the indication from Peter Island, he wanted Garamura to try and sit those bowls there, which would take that option away from them if he got another one close. So
here's Horgan on the drive, trying to get to the green bowl or the jack. Gets the jack. That'll be killed. Got the jack clean.
That's a great shot. They were in the cart from bowl 1 on that
They were. They certainly were.
And they chipped away at it and have given themselves another chance.
Remembering, of course, that Manawatu have won the Peers earlier on. They defeated the John Clayton skip side. And in the singles, we saw a very convincing display by Scott McKenzie of the Carrington Club in the Wairarapa defeating Ross Ellery. So it all comes down to this game. In the other quarter final out in front of us here, we had Auckland up against Wanganui, and we saw the Wanganui side win the Peers. They defeated the Auckland combination by, I think it was 19-10 or around about that score. Gary Lawson won the 4s for Auckland, and we saw Jamie Hill come from behind after trailing Bruce Winterburn by 24 shots to 17, and Jamie Hill coming from behind and winning that 25-24. In the Wellington versus Dunedin game, which is on the top green up here, I can tell you that Seamus Curtin had won 20. Well, he when the clock finished, or the other games finished, it was Seamus Curtin in front by 24-22, because the Wellington Peers had defeated Dunedin by 16 shots to 12, and in the 4s, the Wellington had won that by 16 shots to 12. In the Southland versus Canterbury game, in the last update that we had, it was Southland leading in the singles. It was Craig Merrilies. He was leading Andrew Kelly by 22 shots to 12. As I look, a front toucher from the young lead from the Wairarapa, 22-12. It was leading, Craig Merrilies was leading. In the Peers, it was all finished, and it was Canterbury running out the winners by 17 shots to 15. And in the 4s, it was Southland leading by 15 shots to 7 after 13 of the 15 ends. In the women's quarterfinals, which have been played out at Silverstream, we've got Dunedin up against Northland, Canterbury against North Harbour, and Bay of Plenty Nelson, and Wellington v South Canterbury. So back to this last end here, or the replay I should say, of the 15th end, with Wairarapa leading by 17 shots to 15 over Manawatu. And we saw the young lead, Gavin Hamlin, only been playing 3 months, draw right in front of the jack. And the option now, well, the best now for Hamlin, if he can finish a couple of feet just behind the jack, which is what he's going to do. It will please the Wairarapa side. No, he's not. In fact, he's low. He's going to be jack low. Peter Island encouraging it on, and that opens up that shot through there, as we see Pat Horgan immediately indicating to Jason Hoare. I think the shot option is following that down through there. Yeah, meter. Yeah, it's the call, as we thought. See the percentage shot. So Pat Horgan saying to his lead, Jason Hoare, get under the endeavour to come under the orange bolt of Gavin Hamlin's and lower the jack. He certainly opened that opportunity up. Play through with a yard of weight. You can get all the way to the jack. So here's now on the forehand. Certainly looks to out of the hand to have that extra yard of weight. It's going to be under the head though. Not going to get anything. As Peter had said earlier on, and it's about getting effective and ineffective bowls now. So the great thing here now for the Wairarapa side, Peter, they can really just sort of dictate where they want to put the bowls to negate that scoring opportunity for Manawatu. So, and gone behind the head has Bill Brunenberg, and the shot that again will be through the bowl from Pat Horgan, and that's why it's imperative for the Wairarapa side they get a bowl back in that port there, because that's where the bowl's going to be played by the Manawatu side, endeavouring to reach under the head to the shot bowl, and that's wide of the head. And we'll come all the way back towards the ditch. There it goes past the 2 metre mark. It will stay up in the shadows, I think, will it? And no, we just saw it disappear.
Well, I've just got a cover here. It's a difficult shot. I think these little in-between shots like that are difficult to play.
They are. Peter, you and I know only too well that these greens, if you try and play those yard shots, you can play a lot of ineffective bowls, and with very little reward. And this bowl here of Bill Brunenberg's coming to exactly where the spot to be, down towards the 2 metre mark.
I suppose that they can get an edge on this jack.
So, change of hand, I think we're going to see here. There's a bit of wind blows its way through here. So we're going to see Stephen Toms now going to try and play that.
He's still going to come down on that forehand, and he's playing this quicker, and I think that's the pace.
That's the shot option. Definitely, I agree, Peter, because that's your chance.
He's going to be wide, but I think that's
Your chance of the bowl or the kill on that?
Look, you get both. You could get the bowl off the jack without shifting. You could get a bit of both, and that then brings these two bowls in, that are one at 5 o'clock and one at 3 o'clock. Well, a piece of the jack around that side.
I think we know.
More likely than not, you're going to get the kill.
I think we know what shot that Mark Noble's going to play. Who's standing down here, just down in front of us here, as the Wairarapa side looking at the head. And, you can spend a lot of time trying to work out where the bowls are going to go. But if you play with that weight, remembering that Manawatu have already got 2 bowls on the bank, remembering they're the ones that have got to score 2 shots to force the draw. So it's really just a matter of matching one bowl from one by one bowl, isn't it?
You've got to split those 2 bowls over there. There's, I'm not quite sure what they're talking about. Perhaps they're also going to have for dinner tonight.
It might be, because there's not actually a lot to talk about.
When you're 2 up playing the last, you've got to split those bowls. They've got to be attacking. If they're good enough to kill it, then so be it. But you eliminate the chance of losing the game or drawing the game.
Interesting though, Peter, that Gavin Hamlin, we talked about, only been playing a wee while, but a professional golfer. And you can see pressure doesn't really... the last 2 ends, he's actually drawn the shots.
Yeah, he's played well, and so I've been impressed with him.
So here now is Peter Island, which you don't want to be putting too many bowls in that front zone there, because that's just more to run into, and that's now, there's only 1 shot now and it's quick, because that was really, you're better to be down the back here and amongst those bowls.
Well, the only 2 bowls they have are
over the head, aren't they?
Over the head, so if you split those, then that's put that way. They're trying to block it.
Hard shot.
It's a one bowl target with half the jack.
Yeah, that's it. And we know regardless of where the bowls go, we know that Noble is going to attack, and here he is now going to attack through the 2 yellow bowls, the 2 bowls of Gavin Hamlin's, and he's got the jack and it's killed. And that was, as we spoke about, that was the most likely option. So we'll go back to the 3rd attempt of this 15th end. The shadows creeping down the greens here at Wilton. And a lot of Manawatu Wairarapa supporters sitting down here watching this. Remembering, of course, Wellington are already through to the semi-final after defeating Dunedin, and they will play the winner of the Canterbury Southland game. And Auckland are also through after defeating Whanganui, and they will play the winner of this Manawatu Wairarapa match. And in the women, as we said earlier, Dunedin are playing Northland, Canterbury playing North Harbour, Plenty up against Nelson, Wellington playing South Canterbury, and those games are being played at Silverstream. So you can see there the shadows really now deepened out onto the green. Playing again up towards us here in the commentary position. Gavin Hamlin, who Peter just a few moments ago saying how impressive that he's been to play the third attempt here, and he's on the wider side. How far is it going to come back to the centre line? Here it comes back now, and it's still a pretty good opening bowl, Peter, isn't it? It's
very good.
A metre.
Yes.
It's a metre behind, but certainly where you want them. And we'll be back, of course, tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. on Sky Sport Next, bringing you semi-final and finals of the Bowls New Zealand National Intercentre Finals. And this bowl of Jason Hoare just nipping that green fractionally, run by a metre. Gavin Hamlin, nice delivery as well he has on the forehand, holding the shot. Remembering Wairarapa leading 17 shots to 15. Looks to be under the line a wee bit here. And it comes down towards the jack, and it's going to sit jack low, but still two good effective bowls into the head, Peter.
Yes,
to start the head.
Yes.
So Jason Hoare trying to get Manawatu into a scoring position early on in this, which is in fact the 18th end. It's on a good arc, this bowl of Hoare's. It's come in towards the head now, looked good out of the hand, going to be short though. And of course that green just be starting to slow down a fraction now as the shadows come out, about 15 seconds. So Bill Brunenberg now. Of course, the worst thing about that last bolt of Jason Hoare's, which we'll have another look at, sits right on the centre line, and that's not where you want a short bowl at this stage of the event, is it,
right,
Peter?
Exactly, and that's you've got to be aware of that, even right from the start.
Absolutely.
That, when you're needing shots to win on the last end, the last place you want to put one is on the centre line.
The centre line at this stage is only good if you're behind the head.
Yes, especially when you've got good hitters in the team.
Just cut your shot options off. Steve Tom's trying to draw the shot here, and will do. Draws underneath the Gavin Hamlin bolt. So Bill Brunenberg now to play his second. Manawatu holding one. Remembering they need two shots, of course, to force the extra end. So here is the number 2 for the Wairarapa side. Bill Brunenberg looks to have a bit of weight on. No, it's not. In fact, it's going to be short. Is it going to get all the way? No, it's not. Needs a couple of more rolls.
Just a fraction wide. They're indicating it's the shot.
I don't think so.
Peter Island was.
It is. Indicate. Pat Horgan definitely said one down. That's the Manawatu skip. So Steve Toms now.
Well, he played a good one with his first. He just needs to be slightly correction.
Well, if he beats the Bill Brunenberg bowl, he'll have shot, of course. But is it going to go underneath or past, coming to the 2 metre mark, to the centre line? One would think
that falls
that
in.
Will be shot, one would think. So, Gary Murawai, Peter Island having a chat. One down.
One down, he's indicating.
Just saw Gary Murawai there indicate to Peter Island. We're one down. Well, it's got every chance on that hand, Peter. Just to touch on the Bill
everyone's played a reasonable bowls down there, and so he's just got to play something similar. Draw the shot,
well, if he beats,
work off his own bowl, turn their own bowl in. So he's got a few options going for him here.
If he beats the second shot, of course, you'll literally have. You would think you would have shot. So Peter Island on the mat. Wire wrapper, of course. This will be a boil over. Wire wrapper hold on and win this quarter-final. So here's Ireland now on the forehand.
Not the prettiest of deliveries you'd seen, but
No.
it's been quite effective. It looks to be just on the high side.
Just going to go by past the Steve Toms bowl, and so Mark Noble, and just I heard Mark Noble indicating we've only got the one. So that Mark Noble just got to get down, draw another shot and put the pressure on the wire upper side. And as Pat Horgan said, even if you get the inside of that bowl, it's fine, because you could make three of it, because you would turn that, you would actually turn the bowl out of the head.
Yes. As we look at that picture there, the short bowl is actually on the centre line, so from the outside bowl to the one next to the orange, there's a metre or so. Anywhere in that gap, you've got a chance of scoring another.
So here is Mark Noble was killed the last end when the Manawatu side were in all sorts of difficulty, and doesn't like this one. And the coach said you've got another one as it goes by on the wide side. Gary Muraway indicating to Peter Ireland, you are only a metre out of it, so just hold that line, let the ball work under the front bowl of Bill Brunenbergs, and you'll go close to having shots. So here's Ireland now on the mat, on the forehand. Looks desperately narrow to me, is it? He's got weight.
He's got weight, he is. That was the problem. That was probably a pretty good line if he'd had the correct weight. It just held out too far.
So Pat Horgan saying to Mark Noble, you can go the bowl, which in fact is a second shot, would leave them lying 2 and 2 to come. So, well, if you ask Mark Noble what he feels comfortable with, and you mention the word weight, there's a good chance he might put it. And here's Tamara and Erin having their carrot dinner. Well, they've got some dip there as well. So here's Noble on the mat, definitely holding one. There's Manawatu. He's playing to reach up to what is the second shot bowl. Looks to be narrow. What's going to happen? Just gets the port, gets nothing.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's easy sitting here. What you should do, they've got to play it. But I think he had to try and draw another shot there. Even if he gave it away, that would have given them 3 seconds.
What it does, Peter, is it enables now Gary Muraway to get another bowl on the head, and then really put the pressure on the Manawatu side. And just looking, there's a, they'll be looking, no doubt, over to that right-hand side of the green where that Mark Noble bowl went to. Because if they're going to play that weight, does the jack go out there? But Muraway now, if he plays to Bill Brunenberg's bowl, rolls it in or draws underneath it, he really puts the pressure on Horgan. Here's Muraway now, trying to reach the head. Don't know if that's going to have the weight to get all the way. It's still working its way towards the head. Peter Ireland encouraging it. Well, needs to get under the bowl.
Oh, that's very close for shot.
Well, it certainly makes the options different now for Pat Horgan, doesn't it? Because it's another bowl in there. You can't attack that bowl now. And looking on the monitor, you're right, Peter. That well-made shot.
Well, they're looking to play backhand. The indication from Mark playing backhand.
We can see the 2 green bowls of Steve Toms is out. Is that what they're trying to play to?
Those are
the 2 green bowls that are out here.
Peter Islands.
Yeah, we're not going to play there, are you?
So I think they must be holding one, and he's going to try and draw for second here.
So here is Horgan on the backhand. As Peter said, trying to make 2 of it. Urging the bowl on. Urging this bowl of Horgan's on.
He's got the jack.
He's got the jack.
It's gone just a fraction too far, I think. Oh, that was a pretty good sort of ball.
Very good attempt, was it not? It certainly was.
Touch too far.
So is the ball to Peter Islands the shot now, Peter?
Well, Gavin Hamlin's bowl is in there too.
There's two bowls. He was desperately unlucky, wasn't he? Because he played the perfect shot. Remembering, of course, it is Wairarapa that are leading by 17-15. 17-15, and this is the third attempt of playing the 15th end here in this quarter-final of the men's national Intercentre. And Wairarapa may well only be a bowl away, Peter, from creating some history for their centre.
Peter Island just indicated they hold 2.
So Horgan really desperately unlucky, Peter, because he certainly played a good bowl.
Just a fraction quick.
So here's Murawai. Won't want to fatten anything up. Coming all the way, trying to get past this bowler, Peter Islands, to give them some back cover. So, yeah, what does Horgan do here? Looking. Well, if you're going to play that, you'd have to have a lot of weight. Well, would you come back enough, Peter?
They're trying to get onto Pat's first bowl, which kicks their closest one onto the two shot bowls, but I don't know whether you can get enough weight to get...
No, because with the short bowl that's sitting right on the centre line there, if you're one bowl wide of that, with weight, I wouldn't imagine that you're going to come back.
I don't think they can make 2. He's looking at a plant out.
A wide plant
for the jack. It's almost in line with us.
It is. It looks as though it would go. If you look at it, it's on a line, but I think it would just go.
Miss. Do you
I think it would just miss.
I think they're looking for a kill here, though. Obviously, if they're looking at that, it's either that or they try and drive one of these short bowls and then hope for a kill.
So this is the third replay, and remember, this Manawa 2-4 side have been unbeaten to date in this Intercentre, Oz New Zealand 2021 National Intercentre. Remembering, of course, Auckland are already through to the semi-final after a very, very narrow win over Wanganui, and we know that Wellington defeated Dunedin and Canterbury were up against Southland, and it was Southland had the edge on the last update. So here's now Pat Horgan looking again. What's the option?
Yeah,
that was,
looking for a splash.
Yeah, here's that through the bowls on the drive on the forehanders. Horgan down on the head, trailing 17-15 on the third replay of the 15th end. On the drive is the Manawa 2 skip going for the kill, down on his knees and got nothing. Got a bowl, and that's a win to the Wairarapa, and that is, Peter, Wairarapa are through to the semi-final of the National Intercentre. Well, that's got to be a great day for the Wairarapa, doesn't it?
Ah, certainly. And look, they showed a lot of character in those last few ends. All credit to Manawa 2, who put them under that. They were out of the game for most of it. Got a 5, got back in the game, but Wairarapa players held their nerve over those last few ends, and obviously that was the third replay of the 15th end, and they thoroughly deserved the win.
Well, it was set up. To be fair, Gavin Hamlin, in my view, gave them, in those pressure last few ends, gave them a great start. And if Southland, for example, have defeated Canterbury up on the top green, we've got 2 of our smaller centre, although, of course, we know Southland's a good centre, good players there, but it is a smaller centre.
Yes. And
we would have a North and a South Island of the smaller centres who have made their way into the semi-finals, which is great.
Yes, and look, you look at the semi-final matchup tomorrow with Wairarapa and Auckland. You've got a star-studded Auckland side who would go in strong favourites. But this is going to be a great boost for Wairarapa. Look, they're in a situation where they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. They've punched well above their weight at this National Intercentre Championships, and irrespective of what happens tomorrow, they can be justifiably proud of their performances. And the way that Scott McKenzie played,
he was outstanding, the singles player.
As we mentioned earlier and talked about earlier, singles generally, because it finished first, although playing 25 sometimes they've been the last to finish, but that has a big bearing on what happens in those team games. So look, it's going to be an enthralling day tomorrow.
Well, the other Scott McKenzie playing the very well performed Ross Ellery. Ross Ellery only scored on 5 ends in that race to 25, so that was convincing. So that gave the Wairarapa side a great start. So we've had a fantastic afternoon here at quarter-final stages of the National Intercentre Bowls, and we're Auckland tomorrow morning will play Wairarapa, and Wellington will play the winner of the Canterbury Southland match. And of course we'll have the women here as well, where earlier on the quarterfinals been played at Silverstream. Dunedin up against Northland, Canterbury versus North Harbour, Bay of Plenty versus Nelson, and Wellington versus South Canterbury. This is Kevin Hicklin and Peter Ballas winding action up for the day, and we'll be back at 8:30 tomorrow morning here at the Wilton Bowling Club in Wellington.